How about this, where police had to call? Police were called after someone threatened an Austin power crew that was out fixing the poles and the lines. Can we not do that, please?
No, really.
I know you're frustrated.
While they're out there working,
yes,
they're working to get it fixed.
Yeah, it's their fault. It's their fault. They're working, 14, 16-hour shifts here trying to get the power back on for everybody.
By the way, E, thanks to a mom who sent me a text last night from Round Rock that her, the tip for kids yesterday about the power lines.
Yes.
2 kids came in and said, we heard from Bucky, don't be messing with the lines. They were out on the grounds, and the kids ran in, brother and sister ran in to say, there's live wires back there somewhere just kind of sizzling around.
Well, I mean, way to go by you, by the way.
But us, that's the whole deal with us. We just try to give it all. Not all the tips are great tips. Some of them are fun and goofy, but that's one. Let me tell you something. The kids that roam around and stuff, sort of like when you saw the Jeep with the money in it.
Yeah.
What money?
I never saw it. I read the story.
What about the money?
There wouldn't have been a story.
What money?
What money?
But yeah, please be careful, kids out there. Just, as you wander around the normal places that you go, look out for those lines. No touch. Well,
and obviously it's taken a while, and they're going to have a review of the city manager's job performance through all this. Same time, it is pretty incredible, the scope of this, because the lines are down all over the place.
And you can't get after them.
No, you can't get after the power crew.
By the way, I know Austin. I don't live in the city of Austin, but for those who were bitching and moaning last year about how much it's going to cost to get those oak trees away from those power lines, you probably would have wanted to spend that money now.
Well, that will all be discussed, but don't be going after the power crews. A lot of those folks are in from out of town. They've trucked in a lot of folks from other states and other areas to help with the scope and the magnitude of the damage here to the power lines and the infrastructure. So yeah, let them do their work, please. And look, if you've been without power since last Tuesday or Wednesday, I can understand you being frustrated. But it's not the power crews' fault.
Got a chance? Go get them a big thing of coffee, if anything.
Say thank you. But either way, let's start your Tuesday with the headlines. Get you caught up on the news of the morning, including a frustrating loss for the Longhorns last night at Kansas. UBO Business Services brings it to you. Yeah, college hoops, heavyweight battle in the Big 12 in Lawrence, and the 9th-ranked Jayhawks protected their home floor last night. Kansas gets the 88-80 win over the 5th-ranked Longhorns. Longhorns up to number 5 in this week's top 25, but they go down last night. Kansas built a 14-point first-half lead. Love another sluggish start for Texas, thanks in large part to their own turnovers. It led to transition buckets the other way. Horns cut the lead to 7 at the halftime, then once again came out strong in the second half, cut the lead to 2 at 52-50 at the 13-minute mark. That's when Kansas immediately went on a quick 6-0 run, pushed it back to 8, then another 7-0 run. Shortly after that pushed it to 13. They closed it from there. Jayhawks turned 15 Texas turnovers into 18 points, and they outscored the Longhorns on fast break points 24-8 for a disappointed Rodney Terry.
Well, I thought, again, we could have done a better job, obviously, taking care of the basketball. They came out and played with a great sense of urgency to start the game. Just valuing taking care of the ball. When you're on the road, you can't beat yourself in that regards, and I thought we had too many of those type of plays early in the game. We gave them second chance points as well, offensive rebounds. But give our guys a lot of credit. We came out in the second half. We buckled down. We put some stops together, and we put ourselves right back in position to be in position to win this game tonight.
Marcus Carr poured in a game-high 29 for Texas. Timmy Allen had 18. Jabari Rice had 12. Texas did hold the All-American Jalen Wilson to just 2 points, but 5 other Jayhawks hit double figures, including Grady Dick with 21. DeJuan Harris, the point guard, was great. He had 17 points and 5 assists. Longhorns still atop the Big 12 at 8-3. KU now game back at 7-4. Also in college hoops last night, 19th-ranked Miami hammered Duke 81-59. NBA, all 3 Texas teams in action. Only Dallas posted a win. Mavericks awaiting the arrival of Kyrie Irving. Took down Utah 124-111. Spurs got walloped in Chicago. Houston got smoked by Sacramento. NFL, it was Super Bowl opening night out in Arizona, formerly known as Media Day. Both the Chiefs and the Eagles met with the assembled media to discuss the big game on Sunday, which features plenty of cool storylines. Both top seeds in each conference will meet for the first time in 5 years in the Super Bowl. Kansas City head coach Andy Reid spent 14 years as head coach in Philly. He's now in year 10 in KC, and for the first time ever, 2 Texas high school quarterbacks will face off in the Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts was a Channelview High Falcon back in the day, played for his dad outside of Houston. Patrick Mahomes grew up outside of Tyler, starred for the White House High Wildcats in White House, Texas.
We say Texas high school football is the best in the country. The way that we put people out, at every single position, the way high school football is talked about and played and how many people show up to the games, it's the best high school football in the country. And so I'm glad that we're on the national stage now, and you got two guys from Texas that want to go out there and win a football game.
Should be a good one Sunday at 5:30. It's Super Bowl 57. Also in the NFL, Minnesota Vikings have hired former Miami head coach Brian Flores, their new defensive coordinator. In golf, they had to play into yesterday at Pebble Beach because of weather, but it was Justin Rose posting a final round 66. He wins the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am. It's his first PGA Tour victory in 4 years. And this week, the tour will tee off down the road from the Super Bowl at the Waste Management Open in Phoenix. Tremendous field. 23 of the top 24 players in the world will tee off Thursday. All right, Buck, another slow start for the Longhorns.
Well, yeah, eventually that kind of stuff is going to catch up to you. And you can, I know the head coaches get all excited about the way they come back and fight back. Well, there's going to be a time where it takes a lot out of you to continue to come back. How about grabbing a lead early? I mean, it's been a long time since Texas goes into halftime with a nice lead.
Baylor last Monday.
Was that? Yeah, I mean,
Baylor, they were up, I think, 6 at the half.
Well, you can't keep fighting back. I mean, it takes a lot when you're playing these kind of teams,
especially on the road
every night.
Well, and there, as you heard Rodney say, and I mentioned, the turnovers were just killers. Marcus Carr had 29, but he had 4 big turnovers in the first half that led to fast break points. Tyrese Hunter continues to be a problem for them. I had Tyrese Hunter at plus-minus a minus 26 last night, meaning when he was on the floor, they were outscored by 26 points. His turnovers were big. He only scored 6 points. And on defense, he got torched by the Kansas point guard, DeJuan Harris. Harris was great. And we talked about yesterday that, you got to worry about Jalen Wilson, but they really don't have other guys that step up. Obviously, Bill Self got some other guys to step up last night.
Well, McCullers,
Grady Dick was awesome.
Well, Grady Dick is just waiting to burst onto the scene, really.
It was almost like the Longhorns took the opposite of my advice, which was let Jalen Wilson get his, but cover everybody else. And I think you'll have a good chance. That they did a great job on Jalen Wilson last night, who had 2 points. But everybody else had big nights. And
Kid Yesufu comes off the bench with 14 points.
How fast is he?
Wow. And
that's really what it was about. It was transition and then missed baskets and missed threes for Texas, leading the other way. Kansas only had 2 3-pointers on the night. I mean, they scored 50 points in the paint, and that wasn't like backing it down post play. That was all transition, fast.
They were moving
fast
at
break.
Another speed.
Yeah, and then going to the lane, going to the rack is what they were doing last night in a strong way.
Once again, if that's going to be your MO, is you're just a great comeback team. You're not going to take off in the beginning. Eventually, you're going to lose those kind of games. I mean, these teams are good. You're not going to get down 14, bring it back to 7 and 6, and then have that spurt where, okay, you go cold and they score 7 more or 5 more here. It's just hard to continue to come back in a conference like this.
It is.
Night in and night out. As you said, and even worse when you're on the road.
Yeah, they
come
got
back
it to,
in those gyms.
They got it to 2, and then Timmy Allen missed two little turnarounds in the lane. They were good shots. They isolated for Timmy. He was getting single-teamed, and I think it was K.J. Adams, the former Westlake Chap, who was guarding him, and he had good looks on them, both of them. They both rimmed out, and Kansas turned both of those into quick buckets the other way. They just were doing a great job of turning rebounds and turnovers into easy points. And, that's smart on Bill Self's part. You understand Texas is very good in the half court on defense. Don't let them get their defense set up. They did a great job of that last night. It was at 66-60, and it felt like the Longhorns were about to make a comeback. And that's when they remember the series of situation where they had 2 offensive rebounds. Texas had 2 chances to get the ball, get a stop, and go down and cut it from 6 down. And that's when Grady Dick hit that corner 3-pointer. And instead of getting the ball, trying to cut it to 4, they went up 9, and the game was that was too insurmountable at that point for the Longhorns on the road at Fog Allen against a good Kansas team who played a bounce back game. They did not.
That was a must-win game for them.
It was. I mean, there's no way they could afford to fall further behind Texas.
No.
They had to have that. And for the Longhorns, as we said, you get a chance to get Kansas later in the year. Final game of the regular season is Kansas at Moody Center. You got to split with the Jayhawks. You now have split with K-State. You already own a win over Baylor. You got to win your home games and then split on the road, and you're going to be fine in this conference. Longhorns up to number 5 in this week's AP Top 25. As you said, though, they got to get off to better starts. I mean, I'm assuming now with the whole week off until Saturday's game with Oklahoma.
Some rest, yeah.
Get some rest, and then figure out what you do to start games faster. And they really do have to figure out what to do with Tyrese Hunter. I mean, he was the big transfer, but, I mean, the slump is now – it's gone too long to even call it a slump. he's just not playing well.
No.
And, there have been some games here of late where he's played better on defense, which he's a very good on-ball defender, but last night was not one of them. And, it's just he's not giving you much on offense. And they got to figure that out because I don't say liability, but at times he becomes a problem for you. And they took advantage of him last night when he was on the floor in that game. Marcus Carr was, after the early turnovers, settled down, and he really did everything he could in that second half. I mean, he scored 29.
He has to score points because his defense is just, to me, so-so.
Yeah.
He's a give up the shoulder guy when they start getting towards the basket. He's not a great defender, but he has to score. I mean, Timmy Allen and they both scored well. I mean, Dylan Dessou had 2 points last night.
Yeah, and 16 minutes.
And I don't expect Bishop to have 15, 16 every night, but
he had 6.
I also don't expect those guys to be down. They're too good a basketball team to be down and have to have these leads where they got to expend a lot of energy, coming back after halftime. I mean, it's just, how about being up?
Yeah. Well, on the road, you certainly can't fall behind. The Longhorns did, and they were able to come back and beat K-State. That was mostly because of Christian Bishop, who was just possessed in that game Saturday. This one, Marcus Carr tried to be that guy, but, this one was more about defensive stops. They couldn't stop Kansas when they needed to. Too many easy baskets. 88 points. That's too many.
Yeah, it takes a lot when you have to consistently come back, and it's hard to get in front of those defenders. As I said, as good as Marcus Carr plays offensively when he gets it cranked up, his defense is just pretty average. He just,
and that's. But at least he was scoring for you.
Well, yeah, he's got to do one or the other.
He was
right?
putting the ball in the hoop, and he did everything he could in that second half. He didn't play a good first half. Marcus Carr played a great second half, and really kept you in that ballgame. He and Timmy Allen. Hunter's, they got to figure out what to do with Hunter. And Jabari Rice continues to be a stabilizing player. He didn't have a great shooting night last night, but he still had his 12 points, didn't commit a turnover, had 5 rebounds, and then fouled out late in that game.
And once again, if you split with him, that's fantastic.
That would be, you take that. And you take being number 5 in the country on February the 7th, which
Absolutely.
they are right now, and you take sitting atop the Big 12 Conference with more than half the games played already. So there's some basketball. We'll certainly talk Texas women as well as we move forward this week. Texas will play again next on Saturday against the Oklahoma Sooners. What do we take from Super Bowl Media Day? We ready for this game? Start making your prop bets, Buck. Start thinking about which side you're going with. We got two brothers at quarterback,
well,
two Texas quarterbacks.
I already two of the youngest quarterbacks ever. This is the 2 youngest quarterbacks ever in a Super Bowl.
It is.
I'm leaning towards Philadelphia by at least 6.
You know that whole Madden simulation thing? They took the Madden game and did the simulation of the game. It said Eagles 31, Chiefs 17. Now, the Madden simulation has been wrong for the last 5 years. So, just so you know.
I think it'll be closer than that, but
I do too. I think it'll be a good game. I think it's going to be an excellent game. The reason, Philadelphia really hasn't been challenged in their 2 playoff games, but we know, they're just better than the Giants and Daniel Jones and the Giants. And then
all they do is win, and find ways to win.
The Niners, got their quarterback hurt. Both quarterbacks hurt. They couldn't anybody could throw. That one didn't present much challenge for them. But look, the Eagles are on the precipice of finishing off an unbelievably great season. They're one of the best offenses in the league. When Jalen Hurts is healthy, they're number 1 rushing team in the league. Hurts has set the record for touchdowns, rushing touchdowns
you can believe
for a
he's
quarterback.
running. I know he may not be 100%, but he's going to run like he's 100% because this is for the whole thing.
Yeah, think about this. They're about to he set the record for rushing touchdowns for a quarterback. With the acquisition of A.J. Brown, the dynamic nature of that offense, they can run it, but they can throw it, and they'll hit you deep. Jalen Hurts has become so much more of an accurate passer with his work, and their offensive line's the best in the league. And then on defense, if they get 5 sacks in this game, they'll go past the 85 Bears for most sacks in a season, playoffs included. The 85 Bears are like,
you're right.
They're the holy grail of defense.
Yes, they are.
Now they have an extra game here because they played 17 regular season games, but to go past the 85 Bears defensively in anything, and a number like sacks, that just tells you how dynamic they are rushing the passer. So that's going to be a big challenge for that Chiefs offensive line.
And once again, if you told me that Patrick Mahomes was 100% going into this game, it's still that little bit of limp against the Eagles defense is enough for those guys to get into that backfield.
Yeah,
and they're pretty good in the secondary. I don't think their secondary gets enough credit. They're really good in the secondary.
Well, they've done a nice job. Jonathan Gannon, their defensive coordinator, obviously Nick Sirianni, 2 years in, has this team on the precipice of a big one. And obviously Andy Reid, would like to win his second in Kansas City, and they can. I mean, they've got the experience, and they've got the best player on the field in number 15. But you're right about the gimpy ankle, and if with this sack machine from Philadelphia, I would say this: don't do like the 49ers did and try to block Reddick with the tight end. Hassan Reddick with his 18 sacks.
And the same goes for Philadelphia. Don't let Christian Jones destroy your game plan. Don't let
Chris Jones,
because Chris Jones can destroy your game plan.
He did to the Bengals.
Yeah,
he did. He was a wrecking crew against Cincinnati. But yeah, both teams, I think pretty darn even. I really do. I think maybe the injury sways it a little bit with Mahomes.
I think so.
He can't ad lib and be that wild card player. Or 2 weeks later is even more healthy. He said that he didn't re-injure that ankle any more than it was. It hurt when he was gimping around in the AFC Championship game, but he feels like he's still where he needed to be with rehab. So now he said he didn't re-injure it at all. So now he's 2 more weeks.
Yeah, and will Philadelphia have set runs for Jalen Hurts? I mean, will they have set runs? They will. Well, then.
Well, really, that's all off of his RPO action. He decides.
Yeah.
He reads the defense, and whether he hands it to Miles Sanders or keeps. He also can pull that back and throw, or take off and run.
4th and short and 3rd and 1s and all that stuff. We know what they're going to do, which can't be stopped unless you put Chris Jones right in the middle of all that.
Well, Jalen does a great job of finding the crease, even if you compress that on those quarterback sneaks. And that's why they go for it on 4th and short so often to extend drives. And a lot of times it's that quarterback sneak that we know Jalen Hurts at Channelview in high school was a state champion power lifter.
600-pound squats.
Dude's a strong dude. I remember seeing him in high school with his dreadlocks and his long hair, the videos of him doing the squats, and that's a strong kid right there. So he's tough to stop in that regard. Once he gets out in the open field, Buck, he's like a running back.
I've got the edge to them by 6.
6 points.
Yes.
Okay, I think that's but a higher scoring or lower scoring kind of game.
In 30s.
Ooh. Like 37-31 kind of thing? Ooh, that would be a great game. I'll take that right now on Sunday evening.
Patrick Mahomes is going to score. They're going to get in the end zone. Clyde Edwards-Helaire will be playing. He's active now, but I know they've depended on the other kid from Rutgers a lot. But to have 2 of those running backs, they'll have something for Helaire. They'll have something special. There'll be some trick play in there for him when he gets in the game.
Well, I thought in this playoffs, and certainly against the Bengals, Pacheco, the rookie out of Rutgers, that guy's got some twitch to him, man.
Oh,
that guy
does. And he's got a little power behind him, too, when he runs.
They threw some little screen passes to him in that game against the Bengals.
Didn't you feel like they didn't throw enough screens to him?
Yeah, I do. Well, because sometimes you look up and you think, is that Tyreek Hill? I mean, he runs with that suddenness and those quick little steps. He's really could be a factor, but you're right. They're not going to have Mecole Hardman for this game. He's been inactive. But they do get Clyde Edwards-Helaire back.
And the tight ends are going to get there on both sides, not just Kelsey, but Philadelphia is going to get there too.
Dallas Goedert, yeah. All right, so on a Tuesday, Bucky says Philly by 6. What say you? We'll talk more about the NFL. Sean Payton introduced in Denver as the new head coach there. We'll get to the very, very latest from that. CB remind us, Texas plays West Virginia Saturday. My bad. Oklahoma's the following Saturday at Moody Center. This week it's West Virginia for the Rodney Terry and the Longhorns. It's an 11 a.m. tip from Moody.
Have the Mountaineers had a couple nice wins lately?
Let me check the Mountaineers' current record, who will come in here for the morning tip and make your plan now, Super Bowl weekend, to get out there, because that needs to be a good crowd for your Texas Longhorns on an early tip at 11 a.m. I'll look at the standings here coming up in the timeout. But, yeah, West Virginia. Then again, for the, fourth week in a row, the Longhorns will play Big Monday?
Yep.
And they're going to play at Texas Tech next Monday night. Texas Tech is 1-9 in conference play. 1-9. What a mess they are, for crying out loud. But
make them stay a mess.
Yes. And their last game against Baylor on Saturday, they got just destroyed by the Baylor Bears. So they seem to be in disarray.
Took a little tallywhacking, didn't they?
Yeah, West Virginia, Texas Tech, then Oklahoma the following Saturday ahead of, here's the thing for the Longhorns before we get to the timeout. They weathered this brutal stretch we talked about where they played Tennessee, Baylor, Kansas State, and Kansas, right? All top 12 teams, 2 of them on the road. They went 2-2. You lost at Tennessee, you lost at Kansas, but you beat Baylor and you beat K-State. 3 of the 4 were on the road. So to go 2-2, you'll take that. Now the Longhorns have 3 of their next 4 at home with West Virginia and Tech. Then, West Virginia. Then you go to Lubbock. Then you're home for Oklahoma and Iowa State before going to Waco.
Got to win 3 at home.
Oh, yeah. win your home games, and handle Texas Tech. You got to beat the 1-9 team. I know it's Mark Adams. I know it's Tech. They hate Texas. It's going to be a rowdy crowd, but you've got to win that. You can't be the one team not to beat. If you want to win the Big 12, you got to be the one. You can't be the one team.
You can't lose to the bottom 12.
Right.
No.
Even if they're ranked like 64th in the country, you still got to beat them, even on Big Monday, even in their building. Longhorns have a chance, just on paper, to go 4 in a row, and if they do that, they're going to be sitting at 12-3 in the Big 12 play. Big 12 with 3 games to play. That would be the catbird seat, because 2 of the last 3 are on the road: Waco, Fort Worth, and then wrapping up with Kansas here. All right, we'll come back. We'll pick up these conversations. Your thought on the Super Bowl, your thought on the Longhorns last night. What do they do with Tyrese Hunter at this point? I think it's a little longer than a slump now. You got to figure out how to fix the slump buster, as they say. Craig Way will have his report as well. We got some B&E facts of the day on a Tuesday morning. B&E with you. Sharp Vision, modern LASIK, folks. As I tell you, man, there's really no reason not to call these folks if you want clear, hassle-free vision. Get out of the glasses, get out of the contacts, and go with the best. And that's what Sharp Vision is and has been. They've been 3 years in a row voted the best of the best. Corrective eye surgeon LASIK category at the best of the best vote at the Austin American Statesman. That's 3 years in a row for Dr. Nicholas Lancaster and his team. So you're working with the best. They also have the best prices. They've got guaranteed financing. They have procedures starting as low as $495 per eye, and they will have a procedure for you. 9 of 10 people who get in there for that free eye test find out that, oh yeah, they have a corrective procedure for me. That's 9 of 10. That's 90%. So make the call. 596-2020 is the phone number. That's 512-596-2020, or just go online. Set up your easy appointment there at sharp-vision.com. It's sharp with an 8-vision.com. It's Sharp Vision Modern LASIK, the official LASIK provider of Austin FC. You wake up this morning and you're Greg Olson at Fox TV. You're feeling a little sigh of relief because Tom Brady did a radio interview with Colin Cowherd yesterday, TV interview, and says he's not starting his new Fox gig in the booth until the fall of 2024. They're paying him that's a $350 million deal they signed with him.
I mean, does the deal start now? I mean, even though he's not working?
I don't know.
How's that working? They gave him a little.
I don't know what he's going to do for a year and a half. I expect to see him at the Super Bowl just because it's Fox and it's their game. But
being a little bit of everywhere doing some stuff.
He told Colin yesterday he won't start his gig in the booth on a week-by-week basis till the following year.
Yeah, I mean, that's a deal that they've already made. And he made that clear a long time ago.
But he may do other stuff for Fox. I mean, he may be doing some bit work and, studio sessions and things like that and of that nature. But Tom Brady looked pretty resigned to retirement yesterday. Cowherd tried to goad him back in. Can we play one more year? And he said, "Nah, I'm done playing football." But Greg Olson gets to who'll be a part of the Super Bowl broadcast coming up on Sunday, along with Kevin Burkhardt.
Yeah, I've enjoyed him over the last 2 years.
I think he's good. I think he's really good. So Super Bowl is fast approaching. It's after media night. We'll check in with our guy Super Bowl Stu Myrick this morning. He was there last night talking to the who's who of the National Football League and of the Super Bowl in this game. Love the fact that it's two Texas high school quarterbacks. Can we play that cut again, Ty? I love Patrick Mahomes, bragging up Texas and the state of Texas and the football that's played here. First time ever. Two high school quarterbacks from the great state will go at it in the biggest game of the year. Here's a proud Patrick Mahomes.
We say Texas high school football is the best in the country. The way that we put people out, I mean, at every single position, the way high school football is talked about and played and how many people show up to the games, it's the best high school football in the country. And so I'm glad that we're on the national stage now, and you got two guys from Texas that want to go out there and win a football game.
Yeah, Channelview and White House is where they're from. We know the Flex brand for us in high school football. That's what it's all about. It is taking national prominence. There's also a couple other kids from the state of Texas playing in this game.
Where's my Big 33 guy? Somebody from Big 33 is in there, aren't they?
Yeah, the state of Pennsylvania versus the state of Ohio.
Somebody's got to play. There always has been one.
That up. Well, it's got to be.
From the beginning of time, right? From the beginning of the NFL.
Well, the Kelsey brothers both went to the University of Cincinnati, so it's possible they played in that game.
That's true.
They're both CU Bearcats. Trying to think who else would have been from that region, that area, on either one of these sides. We can let you weigh in on that here coming up. But we got a lot to dive into this morning.
Yeah, I'm thinking about what Texas is going to do with their guard. I mean, I've got a funny feeling if it involves Marcus Carr being hurt and him having to dribble too much, bringing it up and everything else, if Hunter is not getting it done, I mean, can't you just make him the sixth man, see how it works? Because I think Rice is going to be good. Whether he's a starter or a sixth man, he's just a gamer. He'll play well as a starter, right? You wouldn't think he needed to come off the bench to be as good as he's played.
Well,
right?
and Roddy Terry says when they recruited him from New Mexico, was it New Mexico State, where Jabari Rice was, Rodney talked about how when he was at UTEP, he played against him 3 years. Like, this guy's really good.
They wasn't a six man there.
No, but they recruited him here to be a six man because they had a glut of guards, right? And he accepted that role coming in here. But you're right.
Look, but does it hurt him? I just want to know, would it hurt Marcus Carr? That's because you can't have him.
I don't think it hurts Marcus Carr, but at the same time, you kind of like when he and Christian Bishop are coming off the bench. It extends your bench. I'm to the point. I'm not sure what to do with Tyrese Hunter. I mean, he was a liability last night, Buck. You talk about basketball plus minus, meaning when you're on the floor.
Sure. What
does your team outscore the other team by, or you get outscored? And far and away for the Longhorns last night, Tyrese Hunter was the worst. He was minus 21.
Yeah. And plus, you're winning games when he's struggling. The guy's struggling. So,
and when he was on the floor, they were outscored by 21 points last night. He wasn't scoring, and he wasn't playing much defense. This was maybe the worst effort we've seen from him. They've got to figure that out. It's beyond a shooting slump now because it's on both ends. He was a problem for them last night, and Bill Self in Kansas took advantage of him last night. DeJuan Harris really went after him.
I still love what Rodney's doing, but guys, you can't keep trying to. These come from behind wins will wear your ass down in this conference. It's just, you can't. You can always be, you're excited about how our team played. Well, you can play hard, but if you're down and you have to keep doing this night in, night out in this conference, you're not going to win. You're going to be, if you're 50-50 or 40% of the wins, that's going to hurt you in this conference. So
Sure.
if there's something you could shake up, shake it up.
Yeah, the only game I can remember where they led most of the way was the Baylor game. I mean, they trailed at Tennessee and couldn't come all the way back. They trailed at K-State.
You got to go all the way back to Gonzaga when they had a big lead, right? Was it Ty? Wasn't it Gonzaga?
They crushed Gonzaga.
Oh, yeah. They ran them out of the gym.
Yeah.
Ran them out. Yes, faster starts are going to be key. And part of that's Tyrese Hunter, right? He's in your starting lineup. You need, if you go back to last night, go back to the first 15 minutes. Hunter and Carr had like 7 turnovers in the first 10, 15 minutes of the game, which got them down 14, which they then had to battle back from. Now, Marcus Carr made up for it in the second half. But how about this number? This number is staggering for Kansas last night. And this is where the Longhorns have to be better. 31 of their made buckets were layups or dunks. 31 layups or dunks. They scored 50 points in the paint. Too many easy baskets.
Well, they thought they weren't thinking Grady Dick was going to do what he did, and that dude is not playing like a freshman. He looks like the other dude that played at Kansas.
Christian Braun.
Yeah, I mean he is looking for his spots, and he hangs out at that corner, and he just fires. Plus, he's really a good athlete. I mean, he can jump. I mean, he can rebound. He defends all right, but they don't take advantage of him as a defender. I mean, teams, but that guy can. He's going to be that sharpshooter for Kansas for years to come. That just sits in the corner or sits. He's going to hit all these open shots.
I think it was predictable that coming back from because if you watch them play their game at Iowa State on Saturday, they were bad. No one did much, and you knew
it was a must-win game for him.
You knew Bill Self was going to, light a fire under some guys, and they did. All the supporting cast played a lot better last night. And Texas did not play very good, especially on the defensive end. And in transition, it was all about Kansas. So the Jayhawks get the win. Longhorns still in first place. They absolutely will take where they are. And now they've got 3 of their next 4 at home and a road trip to Texas Tech. They have a chance to put some wins together here.
Yeah, and a guy coming in as the 6th man, I never think of him as the guy who's sit him. I mean, he's just not starting for the game, but he's coming in here in about 4 or 5 minutes if things aren't right. I don't understand why that's not at least an attempt.
Well, and somebody said, and I agree with them, you're sitting in first place in the toughest conference in college basketball. Don't be messing with rotations. But at the same time, you'd like to get Tyrese Hunter rebooted for the most important games of the year. With sitting down for a little bit and watching, maybe help him refocus. I don't know. But if Arterio Morris, the freshman, were playing better, you might give him a few more minutes. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure Rodney and Chris Ogden and Bob Donaldwald will be having those conversations this week of just how to get him out of his whatever funk he's in. I mean, we were talking about the Big 12's freshman of the year 1 year ago. He's too talented a player to be playing this poorly. Is it confidence? Is whatever. They got to try to figure out what it is and crack that code to get him going. Because as we say all the time, if they get him going to close to what he was a year ago at Iowa State, I mean, they're going to be a force. Big picture come March.
And like you're saying, they're making these comebacks, but it's
trailing too often.
Yeah,
trailing too often. Okay, so. Plenty of Texas hoops, plenty of Super Bowl, plenty of Tom Brady out there. Are you happy as a Minnesota Vikings fan with the hiring of Brian Flores?
I am.
Pretty good get.
He's done a pretty good job wherever he's been as the defensive coordinator, starting out with Bill Belichick. So he comes from that tree of defense. So and he brought it on to Miami, which Miami's been pretty good for quite a while, for quite a few years now. And then just the year that he spent with Pittsburgh. I mean, Pittsburgh. They've got some good defenders, but I think he helped them a lot because their offense struggles, so they had to be in it defensively.
Well, Minnesota, right? First-year head coach Kevin O'Connell comes in from that Sean McVay tree.
God, they were god-awful.
And they're talented, but they were, with Mike Zimmer as their coach, they were a physical team. They weren't physical last year. They couldn't run the ball. They're deep. I mean, go back to that playoff game with the Giants where they made Daniel Jones look like Peyton Manning or something. I mean, guys running wide open.
Down the field, yeah.
I mean, wide open receivers and poor defense. But if Brian Flores can fix that side of the ball and they can become a more physical, more disciplined defense and get back to running the football, I still think the Vikings with Dalvin Cook and Justin Jefferson and even Kirk Cousins, I mean, the acquisition of T.J. Hawkinson, the tight end, I mean, they should be a force in that division.
Oh, they're going to be doing stuff all defensively. They got enough offense. And as you said, they got tons of offense.
And with Aaron Rodgers likely or possibly out of Green Bay,
yes,
Bears are still in rebuild mode. And
Detroit's building.
Detroit's getting better, but that should be that should be Minnesota's division for a little while. But, as we found out again this year, you got to win in the playoffs, and they weren't able to do that, lost to the Giants. I would also say this. The Bears are in that division, one of the top teams to watch this offseason. We know they have the number 1 pick, because Houston screwed it up at the end of the year, coughed up the 1 pick to them.
Well, the Bears and Detroit. Detroit's got all kinds of money.
I know. Well, the Bears have the most. The Bears have the most cap money to spend. They have almost $100 million. And still remember this, when you watch what Jalen Hurts has done and his improvement, if Justin Fields, goes in that direction, they have a quarterback on a rookie contract, and they can you're not paying your quarterback a ton.
One of the leading rushers in the NFL.
Well, yeah, you can build around him, and you have the resources to do it. I think they're going to trade that number 1 pick, right? Someone's going to come get it. So they're going to gobble up a bunch of draft picks and draft capital to do that. Plus, they have $100 million to spend in free agency. Bears could be a team that put some weapons around that young quarterback, improve their defense. Because remember, they traded away all their best defensive players. Khalil Mack was traded. Who's the linebacker they traded to the Ravens? From Georgia, the tremendous middle linebacker. Roquan Smith.
Roquan Smith, yeah.
Traded him. I mean, they traded 3 or 4 of their best defensive players. Robert Quinn. So they need to reload on defense, but they have the assets and to do it. And
they also need some wide receivers for that young quarterback too.
Well, they've said in Chicago that they are studying kind of what Jalen Hurts and the Nick Sirianni offense are doing, and they're going to try to borrow some of that. Rip and replicate.
Remember the one year they ended up getting in the draft or through free agency about 12 tight ends? Remember that was the group in Chicago?
That was a bad idea.
that idea that they were going to go tight end down.
New leadership there.
Wow.
In Chicago. And for the first time and maybe ever, it looks like they found a young quarterback. And look, they really could run the similar offense to the Eagles. I mean, Justin Fields can do a lot of the same things Jalen Hurts can
build
do.
Around the defense that they've always wanted to build around anyway.
And then rebuild your defense, add a piece. They still think Chase Claypool can be a good player who they acquired from the Bears or from the Steelers. So, they need weapons.
I think he was just downhearted that the Steelers just let him go. I think he thought he was going to be one of those lifetime wide receivers in Pittsburgh, and it didn't work for him.
Well, that pick ended up being the last pick of the first round. I mean, that was a high draft pick to get a player. He better produce in Chicago, and Justin Fields needs him to. But that's Minnesota's division until proven otherwise, because I think Green Bay is going to be in rebuild mode now with their cap and the Aaron Rodgers mess. Detroit's on the rise, and fair to say that
Detroit's got a lot of money too.
Bears are still a ways away.
Am I talking about Detroit? Am I talking about Dan?
The Fighting Dan Campbells.
Really?
Oh yeah,
they're going to be a playoff team next year.
Tap the brakes. Tap the brakes. It's
they
still
were,
Detroit.
They were so close this year.
They were. They were
better than Chicago.
I said
Chicago would
They've
be
got
better.
to improve their defense. Their defense was a sieve last year.
But I was wrong. They were better than Chicago was this year. The Bears still suck.
They're getting better. Getting better. Also saw where A.J. Green is retired from the NFL. He's been a good player for a long, long time. Safe to say Arizona is heading the wrong direction.
Yeah,
they can't hire a coach.
A place where
Kyler Murray's
good
hurt.
players go to die.
J.J. Watt's retired now.
Yeah.
Still have some decent players there. But
is Larry Fitzgerald going to come out of retirement and give it one more go there?
Running his 4.9.
Running his 5 flat, yes.
5 flat 40.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, Larry does that podcast, I think, with Tom Brady.
Tom Brady and
Jim Gray on Monday nights.
Wow.
But, yeah. All right, so we'll dive back into all
Eagles,
this stuff.
The Eagles are, sorry, Cowboys fans, the Eagles are here to stay for a while.
Well, yeah, we know that the Eagles have picked,
They've got
12?
number 10, I think, don't they?
I think it's 12. 12 or 13. That Saints pick that they got from last year turned out to be 13, but they have pick 13 and the last pick of the, 31.
They're not going to do it. They're not going to get it.
Right now, the Philadelphia Eagles
Bijan,
are much.
if they wouldn't do that. Would they do that to the Cowboys?
Take Bijan?
Yeah. Yeah, they would.
Sure.
Wow. Man, that would sting.
Well, I mean, if you're the Philadelphia Eagles and you don't want to re-sign Miles Sanders, but you have made it to the Super Bowl with 3 running backs making a combined $4 million.
Yes.
You would draft a rookie running back and let him become the bell cow and not pay him a ton. You're paying him a first-round grade, but that's affordable within the salary cap while you still have
if you win the Super Bowl, hell yeah, you'd take that chance.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, they're better run than the Cowboys right now. We know that, right? Their front office is doing a much better job than Dallas. That's Jerry Jones.
We'll just see, and we'll see if the Cowboys during the offseason, what will they do, E? Because we watched A.J. Brown go last year, which I thought was the biggest acquisition in football last year.
It turned out to be. We'll be back. When we do, we will hit some B&E facts of the day, get you caught up on the top stories of the morning, plus our Coach's Corner next hour. Right now, though, it's Seaway. Pluckers, folks, become a member of that Pluckers Club. You know, Pluckers is so popular because their wings are so darn good. The staff and the people are always tremendous. The beers are so cold. The TVs are always right where they need to be. They're one of those great sports bars that always have the right game on, right? You have to go in there and, you know, the people don't know how to work the televisions. They can't get the game on you want. They don't even know the game's on at a lot of places. That is not the case at Pluckers. They've always got the games you want to watch on, always where you can see them, and always with the best food, the best wings, and the best people you're going to find. But that's why they're so popular. So you need to become a member of that Pluckers Club, become part of it. And when you do and have that Pluckers Club app on your phone, you can save your table, reserve your table virtually. You can also get all kinds of great discounts and save yourself big picture. Download that Pluckers Club app today. Learn more at pluckers.com. Find the location nearest you. There are 8 now in the area, and another one coming online out there in South Park Meadows at some point this year. That's exciting. But yeah, 8 if you consider the one down in San Marcos. Find them online at pluckers.com. And always remember at Pluckers, if you don't like their wings, they will give you the bird. Sorry to inform you, Buck, that you once again have not achieved your stated goal of the year to win the Powerball
Oh,
lottery.
don't tell me it's gone. I don't know. I may be a winner. No, where's it from?
Washington.
Wow.
One person in Washington won the Powerball last night, $754.6 million, 5th largest Powerball jackpot in history. Congratulations, not you.
I'll
Not
set
you.
my goals once again. I'll set them all over again.
Reset.
Reset.
Don't
yes.
don't get you can be like the Longhorns. Don't panic. Don't get
no,
down
no
on
reason
yourself.
to panic.
You're good. This is a bunch of BS. You know, we told you everybody's looking for ways to raise more money. Now have hotel chains that are charging you to put your own stuff in their little refrigerator.
Mhm.
Right? What a joke that is. Now the world's largest, or the country's largest movie chain, AMC Theaters, is now charging more to sit in the better seats. Like, so if you want to sit in the middle, dead center, it's going to cost you more.
I like the aisle where I can get out if I have to go
That's
to the can.
cheaper.
That's
Well,
cheaper.
That's
The
going to
aisles
say
are
where it
cheaper?
was.
Really?
They're not lowering a price anywhere. They're raising the prices on like the better seats that are in the middle of the
Oh,
spot.
you know, so you could
down
like be right in the
bottom.
middle of the screen. You have to feel good about yourself. Come on, I can see from the angle. The screen's big enough, right?
That's a joke. Come on now. Well, no, they took a hit in COVID. They're trying to get back. Did anybody go? Have you been to the theater recently for a movie?
You know how I am. I go way, way to the back. You know, if I go by myself, just hanging out in the back of the theater. That's
What are you
kinda,
trying to say?
What are you, Pee Wee Herman
Well,
now? What's going on
no.
back there?
I don't mind being back there because if I fall asleep and I just start, I'm not going to bother. I mean, sometimes you just, you know. I think the last time I went by myself, it was Hellboy 2, and that had to be about 5 years ago.
I'm pretty sure the last time I was in a theater was with my son.
Hellboy 2 I went to see.
Hellboy 2 definitely came out like
10 years ago.
at
Was
least.
that really?
Yes.
I went in the summertime in the theater and saw Hellboy 2, and I was sitting in the back just snoring my rear. I was waking myself up. And so the people, you know, of course it was in the middle of the afternoon. It was like one of those noon deals. Nobody's there. Had to be the worst thing I've ever seen.
You haven't been to a movie since then?
I haven't been, well, I've gone to a theater with my wife, yes.
What'd you see?
What the hell was it? The last
I
one?
think the last one I saw at the theater was the Alamo Draft House down in the Mueller district, and it was when they Reed Ryan and Reese did a screening of the Facing Nolan documentary. And those things, we sat in the back. They had those real like cushy recliners.
Oh well, see, I went to the
I thought
old
for sure I
Alamo
was gonna be
Draft House
asleep.
with my wife to a movie, and they still had the old chairs, and my back was jacked up after I came walking out.
No, we went to the theater to see Top Gun. That's what it was.
Was it?
Yes, it was Top Gun. That's it. It was the Facing Nolan documentary, which is tremendous, by the way. You can now see that on Netflix.
I still haven't seen Top Gun, so I need to go.
And everybody told me if you're going to see Top Gun, see it in the theater. Don't wait till it comes to your TV. You want to see it with the whole Dolby surround sound experience. And it's true.
Are they still doing movies at Bob Bullock? Are they still doing
Oh, yeah, the
Netflix?
IMAX.
Are they doing IMAX there?
Yeah.
Maybe I should see Top Gun there.
Yeah, I don't think they're playing Top Gun at the IMAX.
No, it's kind of come and gone, huh?
Yeah.
I think they're only doing like
History
educational.
movies? Come
films.
on.
And here it is, Buck. I finally feel better because, I've told you the story when I was a kid or when my kids were little and I was playing Mr. Mom and I would take them to the mall and I would put my son on a leash. Like I would grab the dog leash because I would have one baby. We had 3
I'm
kids
telling you,
under
that's
5.
just wrong. That's still
We had 3
wrong.
kids under 5, but
Okay.
at one point we just had the 2 boys. And in the middle of the summer, it'd be hotter than heck, so I would take them to the mall.
Mall walking.
And I would push the stroller, and little one would take a nap, but the other one I was trying to tire him out.
Wear your
And so-
sweatsuit and
Right.
stuff.
So I would just take the dog leash and I attach it to his belt loop, and he could walk, but I could always tug him back if he got too far away
Should
from me.
yank him back.
And my
across
wife was
the dirty
mortified by the
floor.
whole thing when I told her that. She was mortified. Well, now it says right here, leashing your toddler is now socially acceptable. Socially acceptable.
No,
Yeah.
keep your head on a swivel.
Yeah. He's not a dog. Well, I know he's not a dog, but I want him to walk, but I got this stroller thing. We have a bunch of kids. It was just a smart way to go about it. Mall
Damn.
walking.
Mall walking.
Kids
It's being
love that.
responsible.
That's right. That's right.
I will
she did
just,
not
if
agree
I
with
see a
that.
kid on a leash, I will fall down on the ground and start cracking up. I just won't be able to help myself.
We spent a lot of time at the mall. I don't even like the mall, but it was air conditioned, and it's a good place to get out of the house too, and walk around. Go by the food court.
The food court.
How many times we
That's
go
where
by
the creepers hang out.
you can go by
at
the food court and get
courts.
all those samples.
Oh,
Get that little toothpick with a piece of chicken on it.
This in Costco.
Roll around there a couple
We're
times.
take the kid to Costco.
I don't think we had Costco back then.
No.
That was 20-some years ago.
I hated going to Home Depot as a kid. I love it now though.
Did you just get yanked to go there? Come
Oh,
on, get in
yeah.
the car. We're going to Home
That
Depot.
meant there was a day of work ahead of me.
Oh boy, you already knew what was in store, huh?
All right, we'll come back.
I'm the Costco guy now. And no, I don't stop at the kiosks and have lunch. I've never actually eaten in Costco, even though they have the hot dogs and the
Me
pizza.
either. Me either.
I have not sat down at one of those benches in the UN building there and had lunch with everybody in the world. No,
Good.
no, not gonna.
Seems crowded.
It is crowded.
We'll be back. Texas comes up on the short end of a game at Kansas last night. We'll recap it. Longhorns got out fast breaked, it's safe to say, in that basketball game. We'll also dive back into the Super Bowl, counting down the days to Super Bowl 57 in Arizona. It's a busy Tuesday. It's going to be a rainy Tuesday, by the way. Get ready for that later this afternoon and into this evening. It's B&E on the Horn, 104.9, 101.9 AM 1260, streaming always on your Horn app, on your smart speaker, and at hornfm.com.
Folks, Jaguar Land Rover of Austin, a unique car buying experience that Don Snell and his family have been doing since 1973. And the Snell Motor Company believe it is a privilege to be the provider of all of your automotive needs. When you're there, say hello to Cheyenne and Poppy as you enter the door. And, of course, you got 6 service advisors to help you with your choice of these incredible automobiles. And, of course, Damon Spears, he is the general manager, the best in the business. They're the 9-time Pinnacle Award winner for overall performance in the automotive service. And, folks, they are the top 20 in the nation. While you're there, do test drive it, no obligations. Of course, the Land Rover, the Discovery Sports, the Range Rover, and the F-Pace Jaguar. They also have the 2023 Defender, it is there for you. And it was the 2021 SUV of the year a couple years ago. 2023s are coming in daily, as a matter of fact. And if you're interested in employment with a great company, give them a call today and talk to Damon Spears himself at 512-236-0000. They have opportunities at every level. Come experience the team at Jaguar Land Rover of Austin for sure. And, folks, there is a great opportunity, as I said, to have employment there. Jaguar, no ordinary cat, no ordinary car, and, of course, Land Rover above and beyond, 1515 5th Street, Austin, Texas.
Start it up. That would be your Tuesday on B&E. This is Z reporting that he would put a muzzle on his toddler, too. No, I would not put a muzzle.
No, he didn't say that.
No, just a leash.
And I didn't say you people at the kiosks at Costco either. I didn't put any you people.
Oh, yeah.
You know those people that stop off and go around and come back down the aisle and go eat again. Those people.
Those people. This fella says keyword E is now socially acceptable. Well, I was just 20 years ahead of my time with the leash at the mall. Okay, so a lot to get into. I think if you're a Longhorn fan, you're disappointed about the loss last night, but at the same time, you're okay that you went through that gauntlet of 4 games against top 10 teams and went 2-2. But let's get you caught up on how the Longhorns got there. The game last night in Lawrence, Kansas, the last of those 4 against top 10 goes to the Jayhawks. Let's get to the news. UBO Business Services brings it to you. Yeah, heavyweight battle last night in the Big 12. It was 5th-ranked Texas, 8th-ranked Kansas, and in the end, the Jayhawks defend their home floor with an 88-80 win. Kansas built a 14-point first-half lead thanks in large part to Texas turnovers. That led to transition buckets. Horns cut the lead to 7 by the intermission and once again came out strong in the first 4 minutes of the second half and cut the lead down to 2. It was 52-50 with 13 minutes to go, but Kansas immediately went on a quick 6-0 run, pushed it back up to 8, then a 7-0 run shortly after, pushed it to 13, and they closed it out from there. Jayhawks turned 15 Texas turnovers into 18 points, and they also outscored the Longhorns on the fast break points, 24-8 for a disappointed Rodney Terry.
Well, I thought, again, we could have done a better job, obviously, of taking care of the basketball. They came out and played with a great sense of urgency to start the game. Just valuing taking care of the ball. When you're on the road, you can't beat yourself in that regards, and I thought we had too many of those type of plays early in the game. We gave them second chance points as well, offensive rebounds. But give our guys a lot of credit. We came out in the second half. We buckled down. We put some stops together, and we put ourselves right back in position to be in position to win this game tonight.
Kansas gets the win. Both teams at 19-5 overall. Texas remains atop the Big 12 at 8-3. Kansas now 7-4. Marcus Carr led the Longhorns with 29. Texas will play West Virginia this coming Saturday at 11 a.m. Also in college hoops last night, how about 19th-ranked Miami? They hammered Duke 81-59. In the NBA, all 3 Texas teams were in action. Only Dallas posted a win. They await the arrival of Kyrie Irving later this week. They took down Utah 124-111. Spurs got walloped by Chicago, and Houston got smoked by Sacramento. NFL Super Bowl opening night out in Arizona last night. It used to be Media Day. Now it's a prime time event. Chiefs and Eagles meeting with the assembled media to discuss the big game on Sunday. A lot of great storylines, including the first time ever 2 Texas high school quarterbacks will face off in a Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts was a Channel View High Falcon back in the day, played for his father outside of Houston. Patrick Mahomes grew up outside of Tyler, where he started White House High School. Was a Wildcat there in White House, Texas.
We say Texas high school football is the best in the country. The way that we put people out, at every single position, the way high school football is talked about and played and how many people show up to the games, it's the best high school football in the country. And so I'm glad that we're on the national stage now, and you got 2 guys from Texas that want to go out there and win a football game.
NFL elsewhere, Minnesota Vikings have hired former Miami head coach Brian Flores to be their new defensive coordinator. In golf, they had to play into Monday out of Pebble Beach, but it was Justin Rose posting a final round 66 to win the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am. It's his first PGA Tour victory in 4 years for Rosie. This week, the tour will tee off down the road from the Super Bowl at the Waste Management Open there in Phoenix. Tremendous field. 23 of the top 24 players in the world will tee it up.
Or the guys at Pebble Beach looked a little bit warmer yesterday.
It looked like a beautiful day. They got a little bit of everything this weekend. Cold and rainy, and then beautiful yesterday. You know what they'll get in the desert this weekend?
I'm going to have to say that I don't have a lot of bucket list, things that we all say bucket list, but we know we probably never get into them. That place I'd like to go play a round of golf.
In Scottsdale?
Yeah, Pebble Beach. Forget Scottsdale.
Yeah.
Now, if I want to go see the blinds, I'll just go out to Scottsdale for that event because there are more blinds, at that golf tournament, the Waste Management. When we went out there a couple years ago, it was incredible. Everybody was blind.
Feels like it.
It was incredible.
Yeah, it was and the beautiful desert course there in Scottsdale, and a good spot. Now, interesting that you were out last week when the news came down that it looks like this year's WGC Dell Match Play be the last one.
Yes.
Last one at ACC. Disappointing, And
the calendar's changing a little bit for
Well, and
for
I
the
think
PGA, and the members are they're giving up their golf course. When
2
you pay-
months
yeah,
or longer.
They play a lot of money. They pay a lot of money, and those guys play a lot of golf, and those ladies, and they want their club.
Yeah, it's done great things for ACC and its
It has.
exposure. But you're right. If you're paying the number you're paying to be a member
Yes.
there, and there's a waiting list for it too, so a lot of people want to pay that number. But yeah, you lose your golf course, and you lose your golf course during some of the best weathered times of the year.
You're right.
You know, if you're a member of a golf club, you're thinking
Spring?
March and April.
Oh my goodness.
In Texas are going to be when you're going to play the most golf, and that's when that course is closed down to members. I know they give them access out of Barton Creek, and they've got other options, but that's your home course. Also, I mean, I think the whole, as I talked about last week, Buck, I think the whole idea of the match play event's going to be gone. There's not going to be a match play event on
Now
tour.
that's the part that stinks.
Yeah, because it looks like the Shell, they don't have a sponsor yet. I call it the Shell Houston Open because it was the Shell Houston Open for so long. But the Houston Open with Houston Astros owner Jim Crane pushing this, it looks like they're going to jump into that spot on the calendar. Crane's been pushing. You know, they now have that Memorial Park course completely redone and PGA Tour ready. They've had that event in November the last couple years, but they're ready to move it into the spring, and it's going to go back to just an 18-hole, 72-hole event ahead of the Masters. And Dell will, you know, the match play will be off. And I don't think, you know, that there's only one other WGC tournament left, that World Golf Championship, and that's an event in China. I don't even think they're playing. They haven't played it since COVID. Yeah, China. They haven't even played it since COVID. So, and I don't think they anticipate being on the calendar.
Well, that's good for Houston.
It is.
I didn't like when the Shell Open disappeared.
Agreed. I hate it for Austin, and, you know, we understand.
Because that was a part of the Texas swing, right?
Yeah. And
Valero.
Yeah, and give Jim Crane credit. He's really invested a lot of his own dollars in the Astros Foundation. He's got another one down there because, you know, Memorial Park's really cool. It's right in downtown Austin, or downtown Houston. It's in Memorial Park itself. It's a really nice course. That'll be a good spot. And, you know, Houston back on the golf map for sure. I mean, it used to be out the Woodlands for a long, long time. Then they played there in the Humble area. But, yeah, that'll be cool. But, yeah, unfortunate for Austin that this year, if you haven't been to the Dell Match Play, and you've never been out there,
go check it out.
Go check it out, because we've been out there, Buck. We got to see Tiger Woods out there.
Great place.
Got to see Scotty Scheffler win the event last year, which is really cool. Jordan Spieth is typically a fan favorite, but you know we also know at the match play event by Sunday you got like 4 guys walking around. It's not great television, and even if you're out there as a spectator, by the get to the fun days are Wednesday, Thursday, Friday,
for sure.
When all 64 players are playing and you got a lot to see. By the weekend, it kind of fizzles out.
It's a party by the weekend.
Oh, yeah.
Ty's been to every one, and he doesn't remember a single one of them.
Yeah, pretty much.
Remember falling down the hill, the par 5?
Did you ever fall down the hill?
No, I have some good pictures of me in the middle of the fairway, though. You know,
doing snow
just hanging
angels?
out. Yeah.
Oh, it's a great event. I mean, when you're looking at as Austin becomes a professional city for some professional sports, I mean, to lose that, it hurts. But boy, if you can't understand the members that pay their money and that are golfers that love to play golf,
Barton Creek will get something.
And they're rich dudes, so you know rich dudes like their golf.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
to give it their way.
Why can't Barton Creek has multiple courses? So
yeah, I just don't know if it fits.
I bet an LPGA event is the next one here.
Well, I think the LPGA is going out to Horseshoe Bay at some time,
Would that be good?
which I think is fantastic. I mean, that's kind of designed. I mean, and those are okay walking courses. I mean, you got to be able to have your fans walk. That's the thing. And ACC is a nice walking course, but there are some around here
it's
that
a hilly
are
walking
not.
course. Huh. I remember the first year we did the ACC thing, and it was Dell Match Play, and all these ladies got out there in their like high heels and their wedges. That was not working going up and down
Tom
those hills.
Herman, as a matter of fact.
Oh yeah, Tom Herman.
No, that was the second meeting of Tom Herman. We went over to meet Tom Herman with his tight shorts on and his stuff hanging. Remember we went over to meet that dude?
Stuff hanging.
Yeah.
Huh. Which one? Are you talking about the golf tournament or at the
No,
office?
at his office with his legs all kicked up and stuff. I'm like, yo, dude.
Yeah.
Nice
Dell Match
impression
Play.
there.
It was so funny though, Ty. That you were at the first one when all these the Westlake ladies showed up in their high heels and they're trying to go from the second hole down to the third hole.
No, yeah,
Straight down a hill.
You see a few people sliding down the hills on their butts.
Oh yeah, and you got ladies taking their shoes off and carrying them. It was pretty funny.
That's why I stick to
Where are your flats?
I stick to the Dell Club area.
Oh, yeah, you don't even leave the club. Then you end up on your buddy's back porch.
Yeah, or at Maudie's after for some margaritas. That's usually my move.
Oh, the Milagro. That's the Milagro location. That's a good one. Hey, let's dive into our coach's corner. Hear what Sean Payton had to say yesterday about his quarterback. who is Russell Wilson now in Denver. We'll hear that here in a moment. All right, now let's dive into the Coach's Corner. It's brought to you by Audio Visual Consultations. It's avconsultations.com online. All right, Buck. So Rodney Terry, you said they've got to figure out how to start faster. And they also have to figure out what to do with Tyrese Hunter. I mean, and how to get him out of his funk. Last night he was minus 21 in the plus-minus. He was a liability when he was on the floor, really both ends. But at the end of the day, if you're Texas and you think about this, Buck, they just went through a 4-game stretch, 3 of them on the road, where they played number 4, number 10, number 6, and number 8. 4 straight games. They went 2-2. I think you'll take that. And you're still in first place in the Big 12. You're sitting at 8-3. And you need to tweak. You need to, as you just heard Rodney Terry say, figure out why they don't, when they start games, why are they turning the ball over? Why are they playing lazy with the ball to start games? That's really what turned that game last night. You know, Marcus Carr had 3 or 4 early turnovers, was not strong with the ball. Tyrese Hunter did as well. They went the other way for fast break points. And next thing you know, Kansas is up 14. Here you are again on the road, down double digits, and you fought your way back to get it to 2, but they went on a couple more spurts and. So you got to figure out how to start faster, and you got to figure out number 4, really big picture, because he.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't want what happens with Hunter to affect Marcus Carr, where he then all of a sudden becomes a guy that's handling the ball so much he becomes a dribbler again.
Yeah,
you know what
right.
I mean?
I like him off the ball.
Yes.
And this has got to we got to crawl between the guys' ears and try to figure out what's going on with him, but. They need them because now, look, you went 4 top 10 teams you just played, 3 on the road. You won 2 of those games. You're still in first place. You're still number 5 in the country, and now your next 4 games, Buck, you're not facing a ranked team till Iowa State. You're playing West Virginia, Texas Tech, Oklahoma, and Iowa State, and 3 of those 4 are at home. The only one that's on the road is Texas Tech, and they're 1-9 in conference play. So if you're Rodney Terry, you got to be sitting with your guys today saying, hey.
They'll play like
let's go on a streak.
They've got Lou Alcindor as their center when you get to Lubbock. You know what I mean?
Well, they will, but that's a winnable game, though. I mean, Texas has showed
should be there at the bottom.
They have shown the ability to win on the road, without a doubt. And Texas Tech will play with their hair on fire in that game. You know it. I'm not going ahead and giving Texas a win there, but coming off a 4-game stretch where you played top 10 teams, now you're playing 4 teams that Iowa State's the only one that's ranked, and they're in your building. You got 3 of the next 4 at the Moody Center, and the only road trip is Lubbock. So. Can you make some hay here? Can you be sitting at 8-3, all of a sudden you look up and you're 12-3 or 11-4?
Well, if you're going to make some switches and try some different things, this is about the time now for these games. I mean,
well, there's enough body of work to suggest that this is maybe more than a slump for Tyrese Hunter, maybe a bad year. I mean, maybe just not going well for him right now.
And do you think does it bother Rice if he was a starter? I don't think so. I think he just got that.
Jabari Rice is just going to play.
Yeah.
And he didn't have his best shooting night last night, but he was still impactful in the game. He had 12 points. He had 5 assists and he had 5 rebounds and a couple of assists. That's the thing. If you can have a bad night, but you still impact the game, that's what Rice brings you. Hunter was minus 21. When he was on the floor, they were outscored by 21 points. Far and away the worst for any of the Longhorns. So that's a problem. You need to get that rectified if you're Rodney Terry. So we'll take your thoughts on it. What do you do? Next up, it's West Virginia, 11 a.m. Saturday. How about Sean Payton, though? He was introduced. We found out that Sean Payton has a contract that's paying him over $18 million a year to coach the Denver Broncos. And, of course, they gave up compensation to get him. Here's an interesting question that was asked of a media member. And I want your thoughts on this, Buck. Do you think Sean Payton was playing coy here or really didn't know? Because the reporter asked him about, apparently Russell Wilson last year in his first year in Denver had a bit of an entourage. Like he had people that were his own personal people.
Oh, not a part of the staff and stuff hanging out?
And they had parking passes and permits, and then he had a personal quarterback coach that came with him. And not Nathaniel Hackett, the coach, didn't do anything about it. Here was a go between the media and Sean Payton yesterday about, is that going to be allowed under your regime?
On the 30-second
Coach, Russell Wilson had a personal coach, Jake Heaps, in the building with access who wasn't on the staff.
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with that.
How do you feel about players having their own people off the staff in the building, access to players?
Yeah, that's foreign to me. That's not going to take place here. I mean, I'm unfamiliar with it, but our staff will be here, our players will be here, and that'll be it.
I think you can probably get a glimpse now why the team doesn't like Russell Wilson. Like he's traveling with his entourage, he's got his own crew.
He's got his own office.
We've heard his former teammates who wanted to call, and when he was struggling Marshawn Lynch and those guys were doing that podcast, and they were talking about how, they wanted to be able to call him and just, lift him up.
Oh, they couldn't get through to him?
Yeah, they had to go through like a receptionist to get to Russell. It's like, who is this guy?
And then once again, Sean Payton is going to tell those other guys, hey, listen, you better get to like him somehow, or a bunch of you guys will be at some different places.
And then late in the season, remember there was the dust up on the sidelines because the backup quarterback, Rippon,
pick him off the ground.
Say, come on, because whenever he would get knocked down, the lineman wouldn't pick him up. And they wouldn't even help him up. And the Rippon came over to the lineman and said, hey, can you help up the quarterback when he gets knocked down? And they almost started a fight.
Yeah, some of these things that those guys did are going to be totally different when Sean Payton gets there.
He'll be in charge. He'll be in charge. And this is interesting in Coach's Corner because I saw a lot of people, and it's accurate, comparing the resumes of Sean Payton to Mike McCarthy. And they are very similar, right, as far as win-loss record, playoff wins, Super Bowl wins. Both have one. Am I wrong in thinking Sean Payton's a better coach than Mike McCarthy? I mean, I think when I think of Sean Payton, I think of he was close to several other Super Bowls and had some really, really bad luck, which happens in football. With Drew Brees, and then Drew Brees got old and his arm strength dwindled, and they had to work around that a little bit, bringing in the Taysom Hill factor. Who would you rather have, Sean Payton, or would you have Mike McCarthy?
Well, I'd rather have the head coach as the guy who will be in control. I mean, in Dallas, Mike McCarthy is who he is, but we know who's in control.
Jarrah.
Yeah.
Well, Mike McCarthy, Big Mac's taking more control, right? He's going to call plays now. He and Brian
He
Schottenheimer.
thinks he's in control.
Well,
he's in
no
control.
one's. We know who.
He thinks he's in control. He's controlled for 1 year, which they better win, or they'll all be gone. Everybody will be packing again. All your new guys who just joined the staff on that offensive group, guess where they'll be? For sale signs on their house again in 1 year.
Is it fair, though, for those who did compare the resumes of Payton and McCarthy and say, you know what, Sean Payton's a bit overrated? Or where's your thought on?
I like him as a stern kind of guy.
I think
I don't get the all
Bill
shucks with him.
Parcells disciple.
Yes.
He also competed in a weak division.
He did
for most of his
time
in New Orleans.
And that's fair. And he had a great quarterback in Aaron Rodgers, and he had Drew Brees. I get it. I think of that Rams game where the worst call in playoff history prevented them from playing in another Super Bowl. They had the Music City Miracle, the deep pass to Stephon Diggs, that miracle play that kept them out of going to another Super Bowl.
That one was their fault, though, in Minnesota.
That was. I mean, but that's a play. Sean Payton didn't dial that up. They were on the road with a chance to win that game and make one tackle, push them out of bounds. You're winning that football game. So I thought Sean Payton had his team closer more often than Mike McCarthy did, and Mike won his early. But I would take Sean Payton as my coach before Mike McCarthy. But in the end, it is accurate to say their resumes are very similar.
Yeah, and Sean Payton really wants to be in control of a lot of things. I mean, he really, really does. And I think he was getting that with the Saints. He was the guy. He just won't get that in Dallas, and he wasn't willing to stay for another year. He even probably could feel the demise of the Dallas Cowboys next year with Mike McCarthy doing that stuff, but he's not going to wait around for it.
I don't think Mike's on the hot seat.
If
they underperform to like a new standard next year, he'll get fired.
Look,
what is their new standard? Win one playoff game and then lose.
Yeah, but it's not like anything this year was his fault.
We're talking about the owner who kept Jason Garrett for 10 years.
Yeah. That too.
10 years. How many 12-win seasons did Jason Garrett have? Mike McCarthy's had back-to-back. So
you think he will go on with this guy for a couple more years with that?
Unless it's a catastrophic
failure.
If
they bottom out and they look like they did year one.
Jerry only gets to live so long, too.
He is 80.
Who are you going to get, though? Like, who's the better option at this point?
Oh, the better option.
Is there another Super Bowl winning coach that's out there that you can just go grab?
Well, I just don't think that. The options are a guy who will go there and still not have control. And as you said, who are those options?
You could elevate Dan Quinn, but that's just a guy that's he's blown a Super Bowl.
Well, look, I think Ty's right that I think he has a chance to be there a while, but at the same time, you're right that this feels like the Joneses have tied Mike McCarthy to Dak Prescott, and if Dak continues to turn the football over and Dak Prescott, because remember, go back to the hiring process when Jerry Jones heard bells. It was about he was convinced that Dak Prescott could be a championship quarterback.
Right.
They can win Super Bowls with Dak Prescott. And each of the last 2 years when they've gotten to the divisional round against the Niners, Dak Prescott has not been good enough and has been outplayed by Jimmy Garoppolo 1 year and then Brock Purdy the next year.
So he's putting this all on Mike McCarthy now.
And that's why Kellen Moore's out. I think the Joneses said, look, man, if you're going to be the head coach, we hired you to get this guy right. You need to be calling plays and needs to be your offense. And Kellen Moore can stay, but it's going to be your offense, and that's when Kellen Moore,
And if you get beat by San Fran again or Philly.
Is there a chance that they, let Dak go after the season, though? Finally realize that he might be the problem and it's not a coaching.
Well,
that could be.
Or are they tied together?
Yeah, that too.
No, they'll be tied together. They'll both be gone.
But if Dak leads the league in interceptions again,
I
don't think he'll be the quarterback.
Well, look, if Philadelphia wins the Super Bowl and they're favored to do so, they'll be the favorites again next year in your own division. That's putting more
let's
pressure
see what
on
they do. Let's see what they decide to do with Tyron Smith and Zeke.
And Tony Pollard and Dalton Schultz.
Let's see how they handle that situation with Zeke, because he's going to take a pay cut. He's willing to take a pay cut, but how much of a pay cut is he willing to take?
But
he should be taking a lot.
I don't mean
he should be just cut.
He has to take a pay cut. But if he were released, would anybody pick him up? Is he even effective anymore?
Yeah.
What is he? Why do you want him on your team? What does he do for you? He blocks?
He jumps into cattle, dude.
He's a good pass protector.
He scored touchdowns.
He can't last 17 games.
I think he's fantastic at the goal line. I think he still has a nose, but you can find one of those guys in the 5th round who has a nose for the goal line.
Yes,
and as I said, Jerry just saw those guys at the Senior Bowl. They had to see 2 or 3 running backs that can get you that 3 yards at the goal line. I mean, and you can get them in the 5th round.
I think the most likely scenario is neither Pollard or Zeke are on the team.
Please don't tell me
they draft.
That's what I want.
And they keep the guy that they had this year.
You keep Malik Davis, and
who didn't even play when you got to those playoff games. They didn't have enough faith.
He played.
We'll be back and pick up these conversations with you. There's your Coach's Corner, brought to you by Audio Visual Consultations.
Maybe Saquon will end up there.
They're going to resign
That would
Barkley.
be going backwards.
Yeah. Why would you sign another big contract to another big running back? Draft running backs.
We're looking for one Super Bowl before the guy dies.
Are you seeing who's in the Super Bowl here? Running back by committee. And much more salary cap friendly. You get the same production out of 3 guys and pay them a little bit.
I'm trying to paint a picture of it's not the quarterback. It is the quarterback.
Well, we're going to find out because Mike McCarthy is now on him. Can't blame Kellen Moore anymore.
The guru's got him now.
We'll be back. Ask Aaron Rodgers about the guru. We'll be back. B&E on the Horn. Callahan's General Store. Make it a Callahan's Day whenever you can. We did on Saturday. Over there getting some stuff to clean up the yard. Needed some bags and to put all the limbs in, and headed over to the hardware area. Got some little screws that we needed, and needed some weed killers, so got that. That's just about a Callahan's General Store. It's a little bit of everything. You got everything for your pets, for your yard, for your home. Got the hardware section. Heck, you need some Western wear. The rodeo's around the corner. Get on out there to Callahan's General Store. They have that as well, with all the area stuff and the hats and the boots and everything you need. They're great people, and that's the thing, right? Since 1978, they're going to celebrate their 45th anniversary this year, their birthday, and it's still family-owned and locally operated, so the people are the best. So when I bought the weed killer that I need, the organic weed killer, right there, helping me out. Where to put it, how much, how to make it work, how to do it best, how often to apply it, all those things. They've got the experts are going to not just help you find what you need, but then how to do it properly and make it happen. That's what really separates Callahan's from anybody else, is their people and their selection and everything that you want. So many local products up in there. That's what they do. They source so much stuff from right here in Central Texas, and then the people to help you deliver it. It's Callahan's General Store. 501 Bastrop Highway between downtown and the airport. Find them online at callahansgeneralstore.com. And always remember, make it a Callahan's Day.
Once again, once again, I want to thank the text message I got last night for the tip for the kids and about these wires and stuff. It worked out pretty well. As Mom said, thanks for that yesterday from all of us to the kids about loose wires and this is not the time
Down
to
power lines.
Oh, don't be picking up stuff in the
wandering
woods. Don't if it's a wiring on the ground. So the kids came running in, sister and brother, like, don't touch that. And there were a number of kids with them, so they just kind of left it be. So please be careful out there. And for those who are running around being pissed off at the people that are trying to put up the power lines, that's just silly. Don't let your frustrations get you.
But, yes, they're not their fault.
No.
Not their fault.
They're trying to fix it.
I'm hoping this is
By
wrong.
the way, they didn't break it.
Yeah, and look, it's frustrating as heck. We've been out of power for a week now.
Yeah, I understand
Blame the
that
tree
too.
trimming policies.
Oh.
Exactly. There's a lot to blame, and hopefully Kirk Watson, our mayor, did put out they're going to do a special session tonight at the city council to judge the job performance of the Austin city manager, Spencer Cronk. Not sure what he does.
God, I hate to be at that meeting till midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. Yo.
I hope this is wrong. Hopefully this is fake news. Because we told you yesterday, Grammys were Sunday night, music's biggest night, and Willie Nelson won a Grammy at 90 years old, and Bonnie Raitt and Ozzy Osbourne, which is pretty cool. But then, is this Daily Mail in the UK had a headline that said, "Shock as unknown blues singer beats Beyonce, Adele, and Taylor Swift for Song of the Year at the Grammys." Did they really call her an unknown blues singer? Is that right? Bonnie Raitt? She's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Like, she's got an icon award.
Bonnie Raitt, by the way, can sing it all.
Every one of those ladies that were mentioned, like, come on. I'm hoping that's fake news. Daily Mail.
Come on, Daily Mail.
Unknown blues singer. Clearly she's not as popular as Beyonce, because everybody's mad that Beyonce got hosed again for Album of the Year. But, come on. That went to Harry Styles. What are you going to do?
Yeah, did you hear the audio of people yelling at Harry Styles when he was up there accepting the award?
Yeah.
It was a Taylor Swift situation where people were screaming at him about Beyonce.
Well, that's what award shows are about. No one got slapped, though. That's good. No Will Smith.
I need a
Come
little
on
bit
now.
of that. Come on.
Because remember, when Taylor Swift won for Best Album of the Year, Kanye got all mad at Taylor Swift. Beyonce, by the way, quit your griping. She's won more Grammys than anybody ever. I don't know if we can actually criticize that. I mean, you've won more Grammys than anyone. Quit your belly aching. Okay, so that's where we sit on a Tuesday morning talking Cowboys football, Longhorn basketball. Somebody, how about this? Let's name the running backs, please, that can find the goal line that you talk about. Well, look, you don't have to draft running backs high, okay? We said that over and over again. Somebody mentioned that the best Cowboys running backs ever were drafted in the first round. That's true.
Yeah, who's that dude for the Eagles? Our guy, Boston.
Well, look,
Austin Scott?
Well, listen,
that guy getting into the end zone?
Let me just say this, because, yes, Tony Dorsett was a high draft pick. Emmitt Smith was a first-round draft pick. That is true. The best running backs ever for the Cowboys have been drafted, but they didn't play in a salary cap league. This is a cap league. So to pay a running back, which is a diminishing player, over market is going to flip your cap, and it's done it for the Cowboys. The fact that both Super Bowl teams are running back by committee and don't pay a running back much at all, they don't invest in that position. They invest in quarterback and offensive line and pass rush and the important positions. Leading touchdown scorer this year, Buck, Jamal Williams, Detroit, 17.
And I
fourth
was
round pick. Fourth round pick. Number
Saquon,
2 on the list, Alston Eckler, undrafted.
Yeah, when the New York Giants drafted Saquon Barkley, I thought that was a great pick.
Not me.
I thought, and when that happened, I said that's a future Hall of Fame player.
That's the Penn State lover in Utah.
Yeah, it is.
No, maybe. I don't know.
We were at the
Saquon
Combine
Barkley
that
was
year.
pretty good. He was breaking every record possible.
We were at the Combine in Indianapolis that year, and you got to see his quads, and you really fell in love with him. So
but he's a good player. I mean, he wasn't a scrub.
No,
he looks good in shorts.
It's not about the talent of the player. It's about the position he plays and the
and what have they done with him? I mean, he's been hurt. He's been hurt a lot.
Look, when you draft a running back that high, then you have to re-sign him to a big deal. I don't think it's a wise investment. I know.
Plus, dude can't miss like 8 games in a season. I mean, he just can't. I mean, he's got to be that guy. You do that guy's got to play
Zeke
16.
Elliott was 3.8 yards a carry this year. I know he scored 12 touchdowns, but 3.8 yards per carry, that ain't gonna do it.
No, that dude is old now. That's just the way that is.
He was also hurt.
He's still
Oh,
not
geez.
going to do any better. He's not all of a sudden going to average 5 yards or 4 yards.
You
a carry.
expect
He's
him to
not
get hurt
going
again next year?
I do.
That's why I said I don't want him or Pollard.
Who do you
on
want,
this roster.
Bijan?
I want Malik Davis and go draft you running back. Doesn't matter who it is.
In the third, fourth round.
Roshan, he'd be nice.
Third
Listen,
round.
Good running backs are available. They are.
Yes, they are. I agree with it. But
Brees Hall was a second-round pick this year. He's on his way to maybe being the rookie of the year offensively before he got hurt. The Texans took a guy, Damian Pierce, out of Florida in the 4th round, who's like a miniature. He's a Marshawn Lynch light.
And the Cowboys
Beast
had
mode.
the guy that started over him in college. So
Malik Davis, yeah.
You would think that guy, has some game.
Yeah, you need a quarterback. You need to protect your quarterback.
And you need to find a way to re-sign Tony Pollard and quit messing around. Don't even jack around with that one. Re-sign
I
Tony
don't know.
Pollard.
Here we go again.
No, I mean,
They drafted him in the 4th round. He turned into an explosive player. Draft another dude like that. Come on, man.
I'm more worried about like Leighton Vander Esch.
Let somebody else sign Tony Pollard.
Exactly. Let Miami waste that money.
Ooh, wow.
oh, wow.
Man.
Yeah, Tony Pollard and yeah, okay.
I
Wow.
mean, he'll probably be really good next year. But if you have to sign him to a 3 or 4 year deal where he's making $10+ million, it's not worth that 1 year where he's really good. And your cap strapped, like Aaron was saying.
And plus, those guys aren't willing to give they're not going to give you a deal.
You're gonna
And Tony Pollard shouldn't give you a deal.
You're gonna
No.
have to move money around if you want to sign
Guy's
him.
an all-pro.
You're gonna have to take money from other people and locate it to him.
You're going to look as an NFL player. If you get to your 4th year and 5th year, and you get to free agency,
And you
probably get that one time in your career.
that's right. And you had
And
that
you
year
take
like Tony
advantage of it.
Pollard. Yes.
You take advantage of it. You cash in, and if it's Miami or if it's
Buffalo, maybe he would be so good in Buffalo.
Well, yeah, I mean, agreed. But no, look, he's not going to get what Zeke Elliott got because Zeke Elliott should have never gotten as much.
That's
as he
right. Well,
got.
we know that. That's for sure.
Now the only
But it's time to cut Zeke Elliott, by the way.
the only running back that
I know people don't like to hear that word, cut Zeke. You can't cut. Yes, you can.
look, Christian McCaffrey got a big deal, and he was injury prone, right? And that was the
Yes.
problem. But you saw what type of factor player he can be with San Francisco this year, and they might have been in the Super Bowl if they could have kept the quarterback healthy. Christian McCaffrey's not just a running back. We know that. He's everything.
Yes.
He's an ultimate weapon. And Zeke Elliott used to be that. He's just not anymore. Tony Pollard is kind of Christian McCaffrey light. I just think you have other needs.
Now, Ty, you don't really
let me
think you
just say
can
it this
get
way.
something out of Zeke. You can't think you're going. He's all of a sudden going to then average 4.5 yards a carry or 5 yards.
No, I never said that.
He's not turning back the hands of time with him. Time has caught up to him more than anything. All those carries early, it's just caught up to him.
He had more carries through 4 years than any player ever had. I mean, he was a workhorse's workhorse. But those add up over time.
Yes.
And we're seeing that with him. But again, I would let me say this with Tony Pollard, to Ty's point, I would like to keep him if you're the Cowboys. I think he's a good player, but the investment may not be worth because you have other needs. You got to re-sign Micah Parsons here coming up. You got to sign Trayvon Diggs to a long-term contract. You've got to figure out what you're doing with
but one of your needs is
another
to have an
receiver.
explosive player on your offense. They need more explosive
They do.
players.
But that we're talking about. You can draft running backs. You can sign running backs in free agency on the cheap that can bring the production. I mean, look at the rushing production that the Eagles get from the 3 guys they've got. Miles Sanders, Boston Scott, and Kenneth Gainwell. They're combined making like $4 million this year. But they're the leading rushing team in pro football. I mean, you don't have to have a big name at running back to run the football. You have to have a good offensive line, good scheme, good system, and you can run the ball. The Chiefs are the same way. Now,
I just can't believe all those 3rd and 4th round guys end up working out for you to give you that kind of production.
well,
Isaiah Pacheco, he's 7th round rookie.
Yeah,
good
he
player.
is.
Out of Rutgers.
Rutgers, yeah, do your homework, do your scouting, find you a guy. But you need to invest those in a cap world. You got to invest those dollars wiser. You should have. This is why we talked about it for months and months and years. You never should have given Zeke Elliott the big contract that you did.
Well, that was
Right.
nuts.
And then that's hurt you. And I'm fine paying a quarterback like Dak Prescott. I just don't think Dak Prescott was the quarterback. But at the same time, that's a good place to invest your money in pro football. You have to. You have to invest in the QB. You have to invest in the offensive line to protect that QB. You have to invest in people who can rush and hit
Pass
the quarterback.
rusher, yes.
And
And guys in the
and
secondary.
guys like Trayvon Diggs who impact the game with turnovers. This is and then that's what you're investing your cap space in at the highest levels.
Yeah,
That's what
you
the
made
best
him.
teams
Everybody
do.
knows they made a mistake with Zeke.
Sure.
But that was a
but that's
mistake
the-
of the heart.
But that's Jerry being loyal.
Yes.
And Zeke going to Mexico, going to Cabo, and playing the game of chicken, and Jerry gave in.
I mean, at the time, you didn't really have an option, though.
You did.
Oh, yeah, you did.
You always
Yes.
have an
Walk?
You always
Yeah,
have an
yes,
option.
you did. Yes,
you
you
always
did.
have an option. Always have an option.
At that position, you really at that time
Well,
you
remember,
did.
he also remember because he was trying to prove a point to Zeke. Who was the average to below average middle linebacker that he gave the big contract to? The kid out of
Jalen
Notre
Smith.
Jalen Smith.
Yes.
He also
Yeah.
gave him a big contract. So
You just
in
like
one
that
offseason,
story.
huh?
You just like the
I
story
know,
of him coming back from
because
injury.
Jerry's an emotional general manager.
Yes, that
Not-
was of the heart. All of that was of the heart.
He
Zeke-
loved him. He's a hard worker.
Yes.
Well, okay.
Just like he's hearing bells.
I mean,
That's a part of the heart.
Nobody's investing big money in an average middle linebacker or a running back position. It's not the way of the NFL right now. And I'll say this again for the Cowboys. This is not to be completely negative, but with this Brian Schottenheimer hire, one of the things the Cowboys don't do very often, Buck, is go outside their organization to bring in new voices, new opinions. They promote from within over and over and
We'll
over.
go down the hall and find a coach.
Yes, because they like to do it their way. And that's such an insular way to go about things. I think it leads part of what leads to the problems because Jerry likes to run the show and we know him, let's just promote him from within. Look, he's right here. I wouldn't be surprised to see some of this staff that gets built, right? The new because they did bring in the Mike Solari, the O-line coach who was in Seattle with Brian Schottenheimer because Schottenheimer recommended it and knows him. It's just a very insular organization. They don't think outside their own box that often. And I think it leads to some of the issues you see. But either way, they're now chasing the Eagles, who will play in the
For
Super
sure.
Bowl on Sunday. We'll get back into the Super Bowl media night they had last night. We'll hear some of the sound from Jalen Hurts, from Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid trying to beat his former team to win a Super Bowl. That's a pretty good storyline as well. Both top seeds, both have had great regular seasons. First time in 5 years, you got the two best teams in each conference playing for the championship on Sunday. We'll come back. More of that, more of the Longhorn Hoops team. They get through that 4-game gauntlet against top 10 teams, 2-2, but lose last night. We'll continue that conversation, and coming next, TY will lead us through some hot or not topics on a Tuesday morning. QC Kinetics, folks. QC Kinetics is tremendous and helping folks through their pain. Relief, right? When you have chronic pain in an aching joint, your knees, your hips, your shoulder, maybe it's your lower back, it's chronic, right? It's every day. You have a headache, you take some Advil, your headache will go away. Well, that's not the case with chronic pain. There's a reason for it. You're bone on bone in that joint. Tissue's gone. Got arthritis. It's an old sports injury. And this is where QC Kinetics come in. They can be that Advil. It actually provides the relief that you're seeking because it's regenerative medicine using blood cells from your own body, healthy blood cells, highly concentrated, injected back into that affected area, and it promotes the relief, promotes the healing, rebuilds the tissue, brings down the inflammation, gets you through the pain, not masking the pain. And it's a long-term solution. Once you've been through the treatments, you're going to see results for the long haul. That's what it's about, getting back into being the active person you want to be. This chronic pain is keeping you from doing that. Call our friends at QC Connect, find out how they can help you, at least learn about it, and make your decision from there. 593-4303 is the phone number. That's 512-593-4303. It's QC Kinetics, a location in Austin and in Round Rock. The relief you seek is there. It's QC Kinetics, 512-593-4303.
This segment brought to you by Altstead Beers, brewed right here in the heart of the Hill Country. Check out their state-of-the-art brewery, tap room, and restaurant next time you're in Fredericksburg. Altstead Beers, no impurities, no regrets.
Oh, here it is in Hot and Not, a text that says, tell me I'm wrong. Kansas freshman Grady Dick is Brad Kellner's twin brother. He does kind of look like Brad Kellner a little bit. A little bit.
Really does, yeah.
A little bit. Also this, I was battling with a sore throat to start the show, but I went down to the kitchen there. Throat coat, Buck.
Throat coat. Ooh.
Yeah, the tea.
I was on the throat coat for a while.
Yeah, don't be dirty out there. But throat coat, pretty good. Working well. I'm going to go get my Z-Pack after the show. I went to try to get it last night. How about this? You pull up to the Walgreens. So it's supposed to be open until 10, the pharmacy. Oh, no, we're closed. Technical difficulties.
Z-Pack is great when you start to come down with the flu, but guess what? I'll never have the flu.
It's not the flu. It's just
I'll never
normally
have
when I
the
get
flu.
this throat thing, if I take it and get ahead of it, it goes away pretty quickly. But that's the way it goes. But yeah, throat coat, pretty darn good. Also, speaking of not hot, I failed to mention this yesterday, but at the Grammys on Sunday night, you know who was not having fun if you were reading body language? Ben Affleck. Ben. He's there with Jennifer Lopez. Of course, she's sitting front row. He's sitting next to her, and he's just kind of like,
they're married now, aren't they?
oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, they're the real deal.
See how long that lasts.
Got a debate. Is it any because they
Well,
used
they'll
to
get married again.
For a third time?
Yeah.
I think they're married now.
Yeah,
But
they're
they
still
were.
married.
It's Benifer or is it Bilo? Bilo or whatever. I don't know. He did not look like he was having a good time. Kind of annoyed by the whole process. Could be wrong.
Sometimes you have to go with your wife to places you just don't want to go. You know?
Yeah. Well, there she was. There he was, right there next to J-Lo on Sunday night.
Generally, those are family outings.
You know who's happy
just
and
go.
happy and hot or not is Greg Olson, because Greg Olson has the lead chair at Fox right now as a football analyst next to Kevin Burkhardt. Is it Kevin Burkhardt? Yeah. And yesterday on a national TV interview with Colin Cowherd, Tom Brady said he's not going to take and start his Fox job until this fall of 2024. So my man Greg Olson has like a year and a half.
Make that cash.
Make that money.
Keep doing what you're doing, and he's doing a good job at it.
Doing a great job. He's on the Super Bowl call with Burkhardt on Sunday, and what should be a heck of a game. Yeah, Tom Brady rolling back, but he won't be until I think we'll see him at the Super Bowl. I think Fox will bring him in for something, either a recorded interview or something to have him. They're paying him enough money. The contract is massive. I think we'll get a little bit out of Tom Brady. T.Y., what do you
Devil
have?
Egg Sunday coming up, boys.
Have you heard
and
that story,
girls.
Ty? Can I tell that
Woo-wee.
story that when you
Sure.
first were dating your now wife,
Yes.
you had your own halftime show?
Yes,
So
I
we
did.
had the euphemism of deviled eggs.
Yeah, man. We had some deviled eggs, and it's going on this Sunday.
you've
You're
told
not
me
going to
that
watch
story.
Rihanna?
Huh?
You're not going to watch Rihanna?
Rihanna who?
Rihanna the performer?
Yeah,
Halftime?
she'll be at my house performing. Yeah, hell yeah.
doing crazy stuff. No.
Remember, you only have, you used to tell me, what do we have in the NFL?
Normally halftime's 12 minutes, but
Oh, I get a
during the
little bit
half-
extra,
during
right?
Super Bowl, it's like 20-some.
Yeah.
A lot longer.
A lot of things can happen. Hey, I'm an old man. A lot of things can happen in over 20 minutes. Lots of things.
Hey, what do they
Heart
say?
attack, all kinds of things can happen.
I ain't as good as I once was, but
Oh.
every once in a while.
Let me tell you, I'll give my best for 20 minutes. I'll tell you that.
T.Y., what do you have for us in Hot or Not?
LeBron James did an interview this week where he kind of just came out and said maybe being the king and being the celebrity is just too much sometimes. He said he wished he could just take a walk outside, wishes he could go to a movie theater and sit down and not worry about anyone coming up to him, or go to Target and go grocery shopping, or go to Starbucks. So I have to say, do you think he's, kind of being a bee here?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I like LeBron. He's the chosen one from 16 years old, but it's kind of like, what was that, Prince Harry and what's her name?
Meghan Markle.
Like, didn't they move to the United States to try to get away from all the media coverage, and all they do is media? Like, they're on TV like every day writing books and doing documentaries, and they said they were trying to get away from it.
Well, I mean, they just asked him a question. I mean, yeah, I would think you were sick
I think
of
there's a lot of
like to
famous
go do
people.
No,
that
he,
stuff.
they didn't ask him this question. He just brought this up.
Well,
But
look,
he'd like to go somewhere. How about just going somewhere without somebody pointing at you? Or
he's one of the most noticed, recognizable people on the planet, and that just comes with his success. And he's about to break the all-time scoring mark this week. But if you're LeBron James living in Cleveland or Akron, where
you've
you
been
probably
doing
could,
that forever.
when he's playing with the Cavs, you probably could have some privacy in Akron. You moved to Los Angeles.
Yeah, no privacy there.
No, it's L.A.
You wanted to be a mogul there.
And he wanted to be a mogul, wanted to make movies, and movie director and producer, everything. You can't do that and then say that. I mean, come on.
Poor LeBron.
Man, Meghan Markle, you can't try to get away from all the press and then all you do is press. Right? That's wrong. All right, here we go. This says Grady Dick also looks like Jeffrey Dahmer. Oh no!
Oh gosh!
Don't say that. He killed the Longhorns last night.
Boy,
That
he
for
did.
Sure. His 21 points were huge. He had some big threes late. We'll recap it. Longhorns fall at Lawrence. The fog was too much. We'll get you details and Rodney Terry's response to it. It's B&E on the Horn.
Folks, Dr. Greg Eckert and his all-star group of professionals do everything from general dentistry to the most advanced work. And most advanced work, how about restoring teeth? I had mine done in just 2 visits with the good doctor and his wonderful staff, as a matter of fact. And also right now they're doing dental implants, and they're doing a great job at that, whether it's one tooth or many teeth. He can get that done, turn that frown upside down in just 1 day. Leave with that wonderful smile. Give him a call at 512-345-3166. Find out if you're a candidate for dental implants. Dr. Eckert and his staff would love to do that for you. And dental anxiety, there's no better place and no better dentist to go to than Dr. Greg Eckert, because you'll only sit out in the waiting room for a couple minutes and then you become the boss and you'll talk to Dr. Eckert about the things that you want to have done. Dental anxiety, don't let that be the reason that you don't get your teeth taken care of, for sure. I was that guy, as a matter of fact, not any longer since I've gone to see Dr. Eckert. How about this? Over 1,400 cases of restoring teeth and over 27 years of service in this area. When it comes to dentistry, nobody does it better. Now, general dentistry, extractions, teeth cleaning, and as I said, tooth loss solutions, Dr. Eckert is absolutely the very best. Talk to Anna today at 512-345-3166. Dr. Eckert is our dentist, and he should be your dentist also.
Put them together for a Tuesday on B&E. It's a Tuesday after the big Monday loss for the Longhorns in Fog Allen Fieldhouse last night. Kansas, too much for the Longhorns. We'll recap it coming up here from Rodney Terry, but as we said, not too shabby to be number 5 in the country, 8-3 in the Big 12, and just come through a 4-game stretch against number 10, let me just make sure I get these right. 4 top 10 teams, 3 on the road. Go 2-2, and you're still in first place in the Big 12. So, still a lot to be excited about for this Texas basketball team. Last night was frustrating. You didn't defend very well last night. Too many fast break points. Too many. Of their 65 shot attempts last night, Buck, Kansas, 31 of them were listed in the scorebook as dunks or layups.
Wow,
that's too many. And a lot of those were.
That's the side you want to be on.
Yes. And a lot of those were on fast break points because
Yes.
they did a great job of turning Texas turnovers into, transition buckets and Texas missed shots. They were pushing it quickly to avoid Texas's half-court defense. But, yeah, the last 4 games, Texas played number 4, number 10, number 6, and number 8. And they went 2-2. So you'll take that. Nobody ranked except Iowa State in their next 4 games.
And that's a tough place to play.
It is. And they were coming off of probably their worst performance of the year was at Iowa State on Saturday.
That was a must-win game for Kansas last night.
Well, yeah, because they're 7-4 now. They lose that game last night, but they're sitting at 6-5.
Yeah.
In the conference. Yeah, they Bill Self obviously put a lot of emphasis on that game, and they're tough to beat in that environment. And,
sure.
When you say frustrating. It's frustrating that one of the best players in the country, Zach Edey of Purdue is probably going to win Player of the Year, right? But Jalen Wilson is in that conversation. Longhorns held him to 2 points last night. He had 2. He had a deuce. But you still gave up 88. That leads to poor transition defense. And,
You let the freshman get himself going now.
Yeah, Grady Dick got going. And, the point guard, I thought. And this goes back.
I've watched him play over the last couple of games. He was just that close to getting going anyway.
And remember, he was hurt for a little bit there. He had an ankle injury that I think was slowing him down. But he's now healthy, and he played like it last night. That's DeJuan Harris, the number 3. And that goes back to the Tyrese Hunter conversation because Tyrese Hunter was guarding him, and it wasn't good. He was getting lit up, and that's why Tyrese Hunter only scored 9 points last night. He had a plus-minus of minus 21. When he was on the floor, the Longhorns were outscored by more than 20 points, and and
Marcus Carr had to score last night. His 29 didn't help him defensively because they were getting a corner on him too.
Yeah, and that's where the fail was last night. If you're looking for it, is defense. You can't give up 88 points and 31 layups or dunks. You got to be better at the rim. Got to be better in transition defense, getting back on defense. And Kansas played with more intensity last night, and as you said, must-win game for them, and they played like it for sure.
But if you come out 2-2, like you said,
you're fine.
You're fine. But you're not gonna. You've coming out 2-2. But if you continue to be behind at halftime, your chances of coming back in this conference aren't good. Unless that's just your.
They got to stop playing from behind.
Yeah, they got. Yeah, you're right. Go in the half and then come out of the half and lead these games and not let teams, come back on you like you've been coming back on them. But it just get tired. You use a lot of energy to come back.
And think about it in these games, all right? TCU earlier this year, they were down 18, and they came back and won the game. The Tennessee game, as we talked about in the SEC Big 12 Showdown, it was 17-all first half, and then Texas went in a scoring drought. Next thing you know, they're down 12. They actually outscored Tennessee in the second half, but that 12-point gap was, just too much to overcome. They were able to overcome it against Kansas State. They never trailed against Baylor. They pretty much led that Baylor game wire to wire. That's the best 40-minute game they've played. And then the Kansas game last night, again, you're down 14 early because of I just thought it was
energy. It takes energy from you to do all this.
Well, it was their energy in forcing turnovers, and you were loose with the ball. Texas had 15 turnovers last night, but I swear 7 of them came in the first 10 minutes of the game.
Oh, yeah, it was early.
And they were getting off and getting out on the break, and next thing you know, they're up 14. And, give them credit. They did fight back out at the 52-50. And, really, for the third straight game, I thought Rodney Terry and his team did an unbelievable job in the first 4 minutes of the second half. Coming out of halftime, they owned that again. They went on an 8-1 run coming out of the half, got the lead down to 2. But again, then transition defense popped back up.
It's just conference I just don't like those away games. And you can, the cellar dwellers like Texas Tech, that's a hard road game. the Baylor game is going to be hard no matter where it is. It's just going to be hard.
Well, Tech is your next road game, and that's a week from yesterday. It's next big Monday. They're going to play in Lubbock. But the other three of their next 4 games, the other 3 are at home with West Virginia, Oklahoma, and Iowa State.
Yeah, the Sooners think they're on top of the world.
Well, think about this. Let's be optimistic if you're Rodney Terry. This is what I'm telling my team today. Guys, we just went through the gauntlet, 2-2. 3 of the 4 on the road against top 10 teams. We go 2-2. We'll take that. We were our own worst enemy in a couple of those games.
For sure.
We know how to fix it. And now we play 4 teams, 3 in our building, none of them ranked except for Iowa State. And the only one we play on the road is 1-9 in conference. That's Texas Tech.
And as a coach, you don't just go in there and saying, okay, everything is we're just fine the way we are. No, hell no.
Yeah, you get better.
If you got a player that's struggling, he may have to become a 6th man. You've got to try something. You can't just let it stay that way. Not a player like that, because that will start to affect on other players. And that's what I said. Will it affect Marcus Carr if the other guy's not the starter? Because I think we know what we're going to get with Rice. Whether he's a starter or 6th man, he's going to play his style of ball.
Jabari's the most consistent player on that team in my mind.
So I think he's going to play whether he's a starter or coming off the bench. But can the other cat come off the bench as a 6th man? Maybe a little bit of pressure's off of him, and then you may get more out of him then. You got to try to at least try it, don't you?
Yeah. I don't know what they do. Part of me says don't mess with the chemistry because they are 8-3, and if they play their good basketball, they could be 12-4 or 12-3 in this conference in 4 games. Now that's a big if. You got to go win those games even at home, but they're better than the next 4 teams they play. If you win those,
so why not try some of that now?
Yeah, I mean that's with Tyrese Hunter.
Yeah.
I just love Jabari Rice off the bench. I think it really helps it when he and Brock Cunningham and Christian
You probably
Bishop,
love him as a starter then. If you like him now, maybe you'll love him as a starter.
Look, has he earned it? Tyrese has kind of earned maybe some more pine time at this point, and Jabari Rice maybe more.
But I don't like to call it pine. I just say it may help him in a way if he's struggling. If he's, okay, we need you. You're coming off the bench right now. You're the 6th guy. Let's go.
Yeah, for a spark.
We need you right now.
Yeah, that's fair. Maybe, because Jabari Rice has been just as consistent as it gets. And what I would like to see is Jabari Rice with the ball in his hands and then Marcus Carr playing off of him.
Right.
Not with the ball in his hands, kind of off ball, which was what Tyrese Hunter was brought in to do, but he's struggling.
Yeah, so if you did it that way, if that affects Marcus Carr, you can't do it then, No,
I want that, though. I want Marcus Carr off the ball.
Yeah.
And Jabari Rice with the ball. He makes the
there
best
you go.
decisions.
That's fine.
Of their too many turnovers last night, Jabari Rice made 0 of them. He makes good decisions with the ball in his hand, and he didn't have his best shooting night last night, but he still had a strong impact on the game, and Marcus Carr had 29.
Yeah, I don't want Marcus dribbling too much. Like you said, I want him off the ball.
Let's get to the other headlines of the morning, the trending topics to kick off and start your Tuesday. Top Gun Equipment Rentals bring you the news. Yeah, we've been through it. Longhorns lose 88-80 last night in Lawrence. It was only 2 points for Jalen Wilson, the All-American, but the other 5 starters, 5 other Kansas Jayhawks hit double figures, including Grady Dick with 21, DeJuan Harris, 17 points, 5 assists. Both teams now 19-5 on the year. Texas remains atop the Big 12 at 8-3. KU now 7-4. They'll hear more from Craig Way coming up in the Craig Way Report. Also, college hoops last night, 19th ranked Miami hammered Duke 81-59. All 3 Texas NBA teams were in action. Only Dallas got a win. They beat Utah 124-111 as they await the arrival of Kyrie Irving. Spurs got walloped in Chicago. Houston got smoked by Sacramento. In the NFL, Super Bowl held their opening night last night, the primetime media event. Both the Chiefs and Eagles players meeting with the assembled media to discuss the big game Sunday. A lot of storylines here. Both top seeds. Andy Reid, of course, 14 years in Philadelphia, now 10 in Kansas City, looking to beat his old team. And for the first time ever, 2 Texas high school quarterbacks are going to face off in the Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts, who was a Falcon at Channelview High School for his dad back outside of Houston, is a high school player. Patrick Mahomes grew up outside of Tyler, Texas, started at White House High School. Was a Wildcat there. First time that's happened. We'll hear from Patrick Mahomes on that topic coming up. Also, the first 2 times 2 black quarterbacks will start at quarterback and then a Super Bowl. Also in the NFL, Minnesota Vikings have hired former Miami head coach Brian Flores to be their defensive coordinator. And if you missed it in golf yesterday, they played into Monday out of Pebble Beach. It was Justin Rose posting a final round 66. He wins the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am. It's his first PGA Tour win in 4 years. Tour now heads to Phoenix, right there at the Super Bowl shadow, for the Waste Management event this weekend. 23 of the top 24 players in the world will tee it up.
Well, it's good to see that LeBron at least thinks about going to Target.
He goes to Target?
Well, that's what he said. He said, "Hey, I wish I could just go to Target." Okay, well, that's cool.
We call it Target.
Oh, is that what you call it? It's just simple old Target. And if he's worried about going to Target, I would just say, don't overbe dramatic about that. Just enjoy the life that you have. You don't. I mean,
he's very blessed.
Yeah, he's very, very
There's a
blessed.
lot of real famous people that would like to have some anonymity from time to time.
I would think so.
I could understand that you can't really go anywhere, but same time, he's done a lot of good for a lot of people, and he puts himself in the spotlight quite a lot to then say, "Man, I get tired of being in the spotlight." I guess would be my point.
And just
on
enjoy it. Enjoy it. That's what your life is. Enjoy that part. You know, I don't think he's really complaining about it. I just think if he's asked a question, you answer the question, but don't make it so dramatic. You know what I'm saying? Just it is what it is. Enjoy it. That's part of your life.
We'll get into the Super Bowl conversation here coming up and hear from Jalen Hurts and Patrick Mahomes from last night. Can I mention, I guess Coach K is a pretty good coach, because without Coach K, Duke is terrible.
You got a lot of freshmen.
John Shire is their coach now. You know, Duke, they have suffered multiple 20-point losses in ACC play for the first time since '82.
Oof.
They got drilled last night. The game with Miami was never a ball game, right ahead of the Texas game. But
they did beat Carolina the other day, didn't they not?
They did.
Their first meeting?
They did. But what's Carolina right now? Jeez, man. You know, this is the Big 12. The ACC's down.
Oh, it is.
I mean, ACC's way down. And then you got Jim Boeheim popping off about ACC being a bunch of cheaters, too. They're not winning, though.
Come on.
Hey, the Horns big game coverage brought to you by Texas Truck and Trailer, located in Leander on Crystal Falls Parkway in Northeast Austin on I-35 at Runberg. Call Texas Truck and Trailer at 512-528-6038. That's 528-6038.
Yeah, by the way, all you trailer drivers out there with all your oak trees and everything else, hey, try to tie those down, you amateurs, so that half the stuff isn't sitting in the road.
I have seen a lot of that.
My goodness.
It comes popping
I mean,
off
it's
of
like,
there.
is it just your first rodeo or something with this stuff?
Yes.
I saw a lawnmower in the middle of a 183 tollway
really?
the other day.
Lawnmower?
A full-on lawnmower.
That could be dangerous.
Wow.
Hey, let's hear from the quarterbacks in this big game coming up tonight, or coming up Sunday evening. How about this one, Ty? Let's go with Patrick Mahomes. We were going to play it in the headlines, but talking about two Texas quarterbacks. We have the Flex brand. We'll have a Flex update coming up. But for the first time ever, two high schoolers from right here in the great state playing head-to-head as quarterbacks, and Patrick Mahomes proud of it.
We say Texas high school football is the best in the country. The way that we put people out, I mean, at every single position, the way high school football is talked about and played, and how many people show up to the games, it's the best high school football in the country. And so I'm glad that we're on the national stage now, and you got two guys from Texas that want to go out there and win a football game.
Let's hear from both quarterbacks on obviously being the first matchup of black quarterbacks. Obviously, Patrick Mahomes of mixed race, Jalen Hurts and Patrick Mahomes. Do we have this one, T.Y., talking about, the impact of this? Long time before blacks weren't allowed to play quarterback for a long, long time in football. Now they're both starring at the biggest game of the year.
And I think it lays the foundation for what's to come. So many kids out there, so many kids that they may tell them to change their position or do whatever it is, but it can be done. It can be done, and it's a historic moment. I love to be a show. It'll be a fun one.
What will it mean for you, Patrick, to have the name Patrick Mahomes always associated with this particular Super Bowl? Yeah, he said it.
All right, turn that down. Good Lord. There you go. He said it. I mean, the Chiefs fans are out in droves at Media Day.
Of course they are.
Having a good old time. Well,
I just like to be a kid and have Patrick Mahomes' voice as my dad talking to me as a little kid.
He's got those two
kids.
I want to see if I can find that. He was asked about having a Muppet voice.
I mean, his kids must like, hey, Dad, come in here and talk to us.
Well, I talked about this last week because we played the sound of Nick Saban was asked about Jalen Hurts playing in this Super Bowl. And he said, he's just so proud of him because when he was at Alabama, he was 26-2 as a starter. But he got beat out by Tua because his passing wasn't up to snuff, right? His ability to throw the football down the field.
Right.
And they wanted to evolve the offense. And Tua beat him out. And we know how that year went. Jalen Hurts was a great teammate. He, played the role of supporting cast. And then in the SEC championship game, when Tua got hurt, because you know what happens with Tua. He gets hurt.
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts was ready to go, jumped in, won the game for him, and helped him win a national championship. But after that season, Nick Saban met with Jalen Hurts and said, because he was going to transfer, he graduated got a business degree, and Saban said he was thinking about going to Miami or Maryland, but he talked him into going to Oklahoma because he said you really need to work on your passing. And Nick Saban also said during the season after getting benched for Tua, Nick said, look, just really work on your passing while you're the backup and make it a priority. And he did, and then he went and played for Lincoln Riley to learn the nuances of the passing game. And now here he is, the ability to run with 15 rushing touchdowns and throw it to a high level. And it's one of those things, Buck. If he wins this game, I know Cowboy fans hate to hear this, but he very likely becomes the face of this league. He is a charismatic-looking guy. He's popular, but he's also, he's popular. Madison Avenue loves this guy because he's going to sell to everybody.
Yep.
Everybody likes Jalen Hurts. And his work ethic is unmatched. And it's like Patrick Mahomes is one of the faces of this league, but he does have the Muppet voice, and he's also got the goofy brother, and, there's some things there with Patrick. But he's such a great player. But Jalen Hurts has a chance to be, if he has a special Super Bowl, wins an MVP.
But if I'm a kid, I want to hear that Muppet voice. He's got 2 little kids, and when he goes in there to talk to them at night when he puts them to bed, they're like, come here, Daddy, come here, start talking to us. Say anything. We just want to hear that voice.
Can we hear from Patrick? Because he was asked yesterday, how he embraces his unique voice. How does he deal with that when he sounds like a member of the Team Muppets?
No, people have made fun of my voice for my entire life, so I've gotten used to it. It's like the joke that keeps giving. So I've heard it all. I've heard the Kermit the Frog. I've heard the smoking cigarettes, whatever it is. But it's unique, and so maybe I'll get like a deal from that, having that unique voice.
I gotta say, when I met him at Texas Tech before he was the great Patrick Mahomes in a very casual setting, it was jarring, his voice. I was like, what?
Yeah, when we got an opportunity to meet him down in Houston for the Super Bowl when he first came out, and he couldn't get an interview. Lee Steinberg, the super agent, was peddling him around Super Bowl. Would you like to talk to this guy? Everybody's like, who's this guy? Who's this guy?
Well, because we
talked to him twice. Did we not talk to him
twice.
2 years? Twice.
Well, just the one. But yeah, Lee Steinberg. No one really knew. We knew him because we covered Big Ten.
That's right.
When we go to the Radio Row,
that's right.
It's all pro towns, right? It's all radio shows and radio stations from pro cities. So, and a lot of those cities don't really pay attention to college football that much. And so Patrick Mahomes, for us, when we covered the Big 12, we knew Patrick Mahomes. We knew what he did. But the NFL kind of saw Patrick Mahomes as a backyard football player, right? He was
kind of
loose playground guy.
Yeah.
Because he played for Cliff Kingsbury, and I still remember the game when they played Oklahoma, and he put up 800 total yards, and they lost.
You should go over to Cliff Kingsbury and say, hey, Coach, what's up with you?
I did that Monday. I was like, dude, Patrick Mahomes should smack him in the head. I just put up 800 yards on Oklahoma, and we lost. That's on you, Cliff. Come on, Coach, help me out.
Can I get a little help here?
Can I get a little help? But yeah, when we talked to him, that was the Super Bowl down in Houston. And he was just so likable.
Remember Steinberg was peddling him everywhere, and people were like, who?
Yeah. And
Who's this guy?
Well, then I also remember when he finally got to play remember he sat out the first year behind Alex Smith. And if you go back, I think you can go back and find some tweets from his first year as a starter in 2018. I mean, he was doing things on a football field that we've never seen before. And it was like, wow. I remember his first game as a starter was against the Steelers, and he threw like 4 touchdowns. I mean, it was just like, this guy's crazy. And obviously his year with Alex Smith, watching and learning, and Andy Reid talks about his photographic memory of how wait till he figures out football, and now he has. And this is really what's cool about him is this year without Tyreek Hill and teams taking away the big play from them a lot, he's got to be more of a quarterback and work from the pocket. And to me, that's maybe what was the most impressive thing about the AFC Championship when he's playing on a bad ankle, can't really move. He still took apart a great defense for over 300 yards and set them up for that game-winning field goal. And obviously the Osai penalty was big. But to do that against that defense, like Lou Anarumo, the defensive coordinator of Cincinnati, maybe about to get the Arizona job. He's done a great job with that defense, and even on a bad wheel. So this is why I think the Eagles have the better team. They've got that great offensive line. They've got the better running game. They've got that vaunted pass rush. And I say this again, and this is such a mouthful. The Eagles, if the Eagles sack Patrick Mahomes 5 times, they're going to set the record for most sacks in a season by any team going past the Chicago Bears of 1985.
Wow. And I'll just say this.
That's incredible.
You better find out where number 7 is on that defense.
Hassan Reddick. Don't block him with a tight end.
Yes, please.
Like this 49ers try
No,
to do.
don't have Kelsey try to block him. No.
No, I mean, but that's how good the Eagles are. We know that. You know, if some in Philadelphia would argue if Jalen Hurts doesn't get hurt, they may have won every game this year potentially. They were close because he went out. They lost a couple games, but Patrick Mahomes gives you a chance. I mean, you got the better
Always.
team against that guy, and that guy has got some. Tony Romo compared to Michael Jordan a little bit.
I will be astonished if Kansas City wins with this Philadelphia defense and the way Jalen Hurts is playing.
You'll be astonished?
I really will. That will surprise. It really will still surprise me. I think Philadelphia's defense is just that good.
This is where I think the experience of being in the Super Bowl so many times now has going to help Kansas City. I think Philadelphia, there's a chance they could be over their skis a little bit.
Well, I mean, Andy Reid versus,
Andy Reid off a bye week.
And Andy Reid off of what happened last year.
And it's Nick Sirianni's second year, first year in the Super Bowl.
That part is.
And look, I mean, the last time they were in the Super Bowl was Andy Reid when his son got in that car crash. And
you didn't think he had any attention span in that deal.
They looked like a distracted football team in that game. And nothing against Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. And their offensive line was a sieve. They were all banged up and they couldn't block the Tampa Bay front.
I'm just looking at Kansas City as well as they played this year, and Patrick Mahomes being hurt. They have not seen a defense like this in their conference.
About that.
They just have not seen a D like this.
And a run game.
Yeah.
And that's what, I mean, obviously if the Eagles cap this thing off, it's a really special season because they've been tremendous offensively, best rushing team in the league, and that crazy great defense. I mean, you break any defensive record owned by the 85 Bears. Come on. Are you kidding? And I know they had an extra game to do it because it's a 17-game season versus 16, but pretty darn impressive. We will be back. When we do, we'll pick up these conversations, plus more on the Longhorn basketball loss last night, but still sitting in a good place in the Big 12 race. Also, Craig Way has his report this hour, Salacious Gossip, your Blitz. It's B&E on the Horn.
It's Bucky and Erin.
Being on a busy Tuesday, 1 hour from now, we'll talk with Ross Dellinger of Sports Illustrated. He penned the in-depth article over the weekend on the issues with the Longhorns and Sooners bolting the Big 12 for the SEC and why Fox TV is holding that up and the situation with that contract. We'll get the very latest from Ross. Does he think it still could happen by 2024, or is that not going to happen? We'll talk to Ross. He is in the know on all of that. And as I said, I retweeted that story yesterday at my Twitter account. It's really worth the read. You'll learn a lot about all these contracts and the granting of rights and why Fox is not going to waver on their hold over the Longhorns and the Sooners for at least 2 more football seasons and what it's going to take to get them out of that. Also talking Texas basketball. Nice little 2-2 stretch against top 10 teams, but a disappointing loss last night. Trying to figure out the ills of Tyrese Hunter, Buck. He had as many turnovers as he had made buckets last night, and a -21 plus minus. That is something they got to figure out right now.
Well, yeah, no coach is going to just let it just stay the same. There's things or whether it's at practice or whatever, or bringing him off the bench, or as a 6th or 7th guy, you have to. But if it affects Marcus Carr, you can't have that. You know that.
Well,
you just can't have that part of it.
And
that's your score. He's your scorer.
Jabari Rice has been your 6th man, maybe starting Jabari and bringing Tyrese off the bench just for a little change of pace. See if he could be that spark plug. And,
or because maybe you jump out to an early lead.
Yeah, maybe you play better earlier. Yeah, I think that's fair. To your point about you like the Eagles right now by 6 in the Super Bowl because Patrick Mahomes has never seen a defense like this year. How about this? The Eagles have sacked opposing quarterbacks on 11.5% of their pass plays. That's the highest mark of any defense since 2000. And how about this? For this year, number 1 in sacks per pass attempt, they were number 1. Number 2 were the Patriots. Okay? The difference between number 1 and number 2, the Eagles and the Patriots, is the same as the difference between the Patriots and number 29, the Cincinnati Bengals. So not only did they lead in sack percentage by a mile, I'm like Babe Ruth. Wow. So that's... Jonathan Gannon, the defensive coordinator there and the front office, they have built a group of headhunters, man. They can really rush the passer.
Yeah, and
obviously.
With the healthy Patrick Mahomes, they're going to Andy Reid's going to scheme all that pass rush stuff.
Yes.
But a guy gimping around still like he did the week before, I know he was great in that game, but I think this is a little bit different beast.
And Andy Reid's very good at this. He's had an extra week and. Unlike last Super Bowl, I think he's going to be a little more focused on this game.
Sure.
And for obvious reasons, and for the fact that it's the Eagles, right? He coached there for 14 years. He's got a lot of relationships back there, and he's still a well-liked person in Philly.
Absolutely.
But, yes, you can scheme it all you want. Can you block it?
That's right.
I will also say that the Eagles had the good fortune of playing against some pretty bad quarterbacks along the way here, right? You would also be able to say the Eagles have never seen a quarterback like this guy this year.
But every time he plays, everybody can say that, even if they've seen him before.
Yeah, this is a different animal. Who was the guy, the defensive, one of the play? Oh, Brandon Ayuk for the San Francisco 49ers said, having played both, I like the Chiefs big. So who knows? Who knows where this one goes? And I also think it's interesting that both quarterbacks, on the 2 Texas high school quarterbacks, they're both dealing with some injuries that if this game can really swing if one of those guys re-injures that injury, right? If all of a sudden someone, Jalen Hurts takes a pop on that right shoulder, he's still, not 100% by his own admittance. Same with Patrick Mahomes and his ankle. If in this game, it's going to be a hard-hitting football game. If one of those quarterbacks were to re-injure that situation, well, all of a sudden the game changes big time. Because you could have Gardner Minshew in the game, or you could have
You can be
Chad
assured
Henne.
of this. If they're running to get ready to go out of bounds, you better not hit them.
Yeah. No, that is fair. That is fair. Okay, so Ross Dellinger in 1 hour. Craig Way coming up with the Craig Way Report. Gossip and Blitz coming as we continue the big conversations of the morning. Buck, so you're liking Eagles by 6.
Yes.
Ty, where are you on this game? I haven't heard your I know you hate the Eagles because you're a Cowboys homer, but
Ty just took a break. We got the new.
Hey, Ty.
There he is.
How about that puberty voice? Hello, Jake.
Jake is back.
Jack, very close.
Jake.
Jack and Jake. Jim.
Jack will be producing our show tomorrow, so he's in here.
In the next couple of days, because Ty's getting ready to have a little surgery.
Yeah, Ty's going to have a procedure. We'll get a detail on that
before procedure.
But, Jack, how you feeling back there, flying this airplane?
Feeling good, trying not to crash it.
Don't crash. We'll do
No.
that. We'll do that fine on our own. That's typically what we do. with
That's
Fisher.
true.
Well, Jack, who do you like in this game? Do you have a side?
My gut says Eagles for no reason particularly. I just don't love, MVS is out for, or is it Hardman or MVS? It's going to be out. The
Marquez, Valdez, Scanley?
Yeah, it's already, yes. It's already a depleted receiving core. I like Philly. They feel like they've got that storybook feeling.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you know what, and I haven't heard A.J. Brown hasn't had one of those big games in a while, and if he can get loose,
Yeah, I mean, this is where the Eagles. This is where I give the Chiefs, I should say, a lot of credit. Last time they were in the Super Bowl, the offensive line was their problem, and they rebuilt that through the draft and free agency. And the issue last year when they couldn't beat Cincinnati was their secondary. They've rebuilt that, and you saw in the rematch with the Bengals, three rookies on the field playing in that AFC Championship game and making plays. So that's a great matchup. Is the Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown against that Chiefs secondary, a lot of young guys. I agree with everything y'all are saying about the Eagles. I think that everything favors them. I just know they have 15, and they've been there before, right? This is their third Super Bowl in 5 years.
Yep.
The experience factor can play into it because I just think the Eagles.
Patrick Mahomes will set himself apart from all of them.
Yeah, he can, and he knows about the legacy and the history.
Sure.
He's the youngest quarterback. He's actually surpassed Tom Brady now, the youngest quarterback to play in 3 Super Bowls already at his age. He's won one, lost one, and he'd love to get another one. I just wonder if the Eagles put a little bit too much pressure on themselves, and pressure cracks pipes. I know they're talented, but man, that's a big environment. That's a big moment.
Yeah, and then when in doubt, their quarterback runs, bad shoulder and all. If he runs, that's going to be a problem for Kansas City.
You're 100% right on that, and that could be the difference, Buck, because we know this.
His legs, yes.
When the other quarterback gets in trouble, he can't run.
Yeah.
I mean, he could, but he can't right now. And it could be the separator in the game because he will take off.
Definitely a healthy Patrick Mahomes. I picked to. I flipped this over 6 the other way. If he's healthy,
he looks like the normal Patrick.
If he looks like yes, for sure.
I don't think he will from a high ankle sprain that was that severe this late in the year. I think he's still going to be somewhat limited, whether he's in as much pain as he was in the AFC Championship.
No, probably
game.
not as much pain, but he likes to gimp around. I mean, when you watch him. I mean, he's going to be limping. That's just a part of the deal,
right?
When you have that high ankle sprain.
Well, several people have talked about how good the Chiefs' defense played and Chris Jones against the Bengals. Let's also remember that was a Bengals offensive line that was down 3 starters and was just overwhelmed. This is the Eagles, who are the best offensive line in pro football.
Yeah, the Eagles may just saddle up and run the ball.
Yeah, I still go back to that game against the Niners before Brock Purdy even got hurt. When they lined up from the 4-yard line, handed it to Miles Sanders, and their offensive line pushed the Niners into the end zone. And you're like, oh, man, that's the Niners front. That's one of the best fronts in pro football.
And you know who I'm picking to be?
They just put them on roller skates.
You know I'm picking that obscure guy to be the MVP for the big money, like I did the year we picked.
Who's that?
Number 14 for the Eagles.
Kenneth Gainwell?
Yeah.
For MVP?
Why not? You know how much money you make off of that dude?
Or would you lose whatever you bet on it? So, I will confirm to folks who weren't listening to our show back then that you did say for the whole week that Devin Hester was going to return a kickoff for a touchdown in the Super Bowl.
That was like 50-1.
And you said it all week long, and you bet on it, and what do you know, against the Colts in the rain.
I was running down the sideline with that dude.
You're still counting your money from that.
Oh, that was
victory.
a biggie. That was a 50-1 shot right there.
I hit one of those last year with the Bengals in the what was the pick? Because the Bengals made the Super Bowl last year, and I took that. Who's their safety that was so good in the playoffs? I picked him to get an interception, first pick, and it was like a big number. That was a good one. But yeah, they're always fun to find those. We will have Lee Sterling with us on Friday.
You're going to be doing your squares this week. Because I never win in the squares. You did win last year, right? Is that
couple
your
years
first?
Ago.
A couple years ago.
Couple years ago. Yeah. Remember, I won a shotgun at the rodeo raffle, and so I sold it, and then I put the money in the squares, and I won that. Oh yeah, it was a good little run there. Good little run.
I'm getting off of heads this year, by the way.
Oh, you're going tails?
I'm going tails.
Love
That's
this
right.
opportunity for you.
Going tails.
Sweet.
Staying away from heads this year.
Sweet. Well, look, Philadelphia 16-3, 16-1 with Jalen Hurts in the lineup. They're really hard to beat. Now, again, Chiefs are 16-3 too. These are the 2 top seeds, best teams in the league all year. The 1 and 2 candidates to win the MVP. 2 really good coaches. I mean, it's a heck of a matchup. I think it's a great game. And I think what you just said might be the right thing, that it comes down to Jalen Hurts' ability to bring those extra yards, move the chains with his legs, score a touchdown with his legs, whereas Patrick Mahomes won't likely be able to do that.
Unlike Dak, he knows when to run. If it's available, he's going to get it.
Let's not put Dak in this
Well,
conversation.
because when Dak starts to, he has to think about it, and then the thought process: should I run? Should I run now? Okay, it's almost time to run. Okay, I'm going to run. And by that time, he's sacked.
I also think KC has to run the ball better than they did against Cincinnati. They ran it 20 times for 40 yards. They've got to rush for more yards in this game than they did in that game, or else, because I don't think Patrick Mahomes is going to stand in that pocket against this pass rush and shred them.
No, if Pacheco gets off on these goofy screens, which I thought they should have thrown even more of, that's the part that worries me. That guy in the open space is pretty damn good.
All right, get ready to load up that blitz, 447-3776. You know, we got to be some pent-up blitzers because we didn't have it 3 days last week because of our phone issues and the power problems we were having, but it's back. We'll also hit some salacious gossip. We'll also continue these conversations. First, it's Craig Way. No games, just gossip. You know, it precedes your Blitz every morning. It's brought to you by Bud Light, the official domestic beer partner of the Texas Longhorns, the Texas Exes, and always the Texas OU game, which is coming up now. We know the schedule. October 7th, Fair Park in Dallas, Texas and OU. We mentioned in the next hour, Ross Dellinger from Sports Illustrated will help us understand the process of Texas and Oklahoma trying to get out of the Big 12 and into the SEC by 2024. But when they do, you'll still be enjoying the ice-cold Bud Lights at your Texas OU game and all the Texas games. Hope you had a couple last night. Hope you're always safe and smart with the ice-cold Bud Lights. But do it with the number one selling light beer in the state of Texas, in this country, and all over the world. It is brewed by Texans for Texans right here deep in the heart of Texas, and dang, proud of it. You know the smash hit Yellowstone?
Yes, sir.
Looks like it might be coming to an end this summer. Kevin Costner's got some scheduling conflicts.
He's still in the movie business, huh?
Kevin Costner?
Yeah.
Kevin Costner's a busy guy. Got all kinds of things he's doing. But guess who is in talks with the creator of Yellowstone for a potential spinoff? None other than the University of Texas's own Minister of Culture, Matthew McConaughey.
Oh, does he want to be governor?
Matthew McConaughey is in a rumor to be maybe talking about a spinoff show from Yellowstone in which he would be the star.
Okay.
He would be the star. I'm guessing with Taylor Sheridan, that could be based in Texas. And you remember if you saw one of the seasons of Yellowstone where the one ranch hand was sent to Texas to work on a real farm, like a real ranch, I mean.
Oh, yeah. It's that goofy
skinny kid.
Man. Yeah.
I wonder if they center something around the state of Texas and Matthew McConaughey is a part of it. I don't know. But they are in talks. Talks are being had, as they say. Yellowstone possibly coming to an end. And, by the way, speaking of Matthew McConaughey, he has already signed on to voice Elvis Presley in an upcoming adult animated series for Netflix called Agent Elvis. It follows Elvis as a secret agent.
Elvis?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, man.
Wow.
I don't know. I don't know how that's going to work. Hey, so by the way, the best and worst cities for football fans, an annual study ranked more than 240 cities, best places for football fans to live to worst based on things like the number of teams, their history. You know what the number one is? Best football city.
Boston?
Nope.
No.
Pittsburgh.
A lot of tough guys come out of there.
A lot of tough guys.
Worse?
Best big city is Pittsburgh. Best medium-sized city is Green Bay, Wisconsin. Best small city is Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
Roll Tide?
Roll Tide. Worst?
Cleveland.
Worst big city, Louisville, Kentucky. It's all horse racing and bourbon there. Medium-sized, Fort Collins, Colorado. And small city, Valparaiso, Indiana. I don't know how they discovered that. Valpo. But that's
Sorry
what they
about
say.
that.
Hey, if you're a fan of Showtime, and they've had some shows called Dexter. You ever see the show Dexter about the serial killer?
Yeah, well, no, I didn't. I watched that dude when he was in a show called 6 Feet Under.
Yes.
Long time.
Michael C. Hall.
I was into that one.
Yeah, Dexter. Looks like they're going to have a new spin-off there, too, where it'll be about Dexter's son, who also may follow in his father's footsteps. Also, one of the shows I like on Showtime is Billions. Looks like there's a spinoff coming on Billions as well. So TV coming your way. Hey, new drinking game. Speaking of television shows, Ty, have you begun to watch your assignment of MILF Manor?
No, I'm looking to get that done with my time out here.
Oh, that's right, because you're having some surgery tomorrow, and then maybe you will get to catch up on MILF Manor. By the way, I have a new drinking game for you. Are you going to be allowed to drink Bud Lights after you have your surgery?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
Oh, those Bud Lights and those pills that they'll be having. Oh, yeah. Hello, everybody.
New drinking game. Every time when you watch The Bachelor and it's a dude with all these women, every time one of the females says okay, you will be hammered.
Like maps and such?
Yeah, yes, an ass. Yeah,
okay.
you will not last very long with that. Also, see if you like any of these, then we'll get to your blitz. Load it up, 447-3776. Reddit, the website, asks people to give us their weirdest but most beloved food combinations. How about some of these? Cornflakes on ice cream.
Oh,
yes. Yes?
Yes, I love that.
Really?
Gross.
Tuna sandwich with barbecue chips inside.
Turkey sandwich with barbecue chips inside.
Turkey sandwich, yeah.
Strawberry jam on a fried egg.
No.
Chili on a cinnamon roll.
Oh, my
Ugh.
God.
Fries dipped in soy sauce.
No. Like your fries and ice cream.
How about peanut butter and pickle sandwich?
Mm-mm.
No. How about cereal with yogurt instead of milk?
No, that's
I
giving
can
me.
see that.
That's Rhea.
That's
Little
Rhea.
granola.
Well, you're lactose intolerant anyhow.
Rhea.
This sounds disgusting. Pringles dipped in chocolate pudding. I guess it's that salty sweet thing going on there. Popcorn with
Now
and
that's
grapes.
worse. That's terrible right there.
Which one?
Popcorn and grapes?
Yeah. I don't know, man. These people are weird. Whatever. Do you have a weirdest combination that you will swear by or no?
No, I don't
Ty?
like.
I put like a lot of whole milk in my ice cream every time I drink it.
Oh,
or eat it.
I do
that's
too.
weird.
I do too. Just make it a milkshake and
Yeah.
just yeah. I'm not allowed to have ice cream. No, shush.
You put whole milk in your ice cream?
Yeah.
Sounds like a milkshake now.
Yeah, like
It's
a
a
milkshake.
deconstructed milkshake.
Let's
that.
get to your blitz.
My butter pecan.
The Bucky and E Blitz.
Here you go. First blitzer, you're up.
E? You put a leash on your child?
Yes.
Why don't you just put a hood on and advocate for slavery?
Wow.
Oh, I attached the leash to my son's belt loop.
Okay, there
Like
you go.
I wrapped it around his neck.
Do you have like a little whistle, like a dog whistle deal
No,
that only
like-
he can hear?
It was one of those that would release and come back. You know, you could let it
yeah.
stretch out.
You can actually walk a cat with one of those.
Walk a cat.
Yes. Next blitzer, you're up.
Coach Buck.
What's up?
So did I hear E right? Like to put the leash in, then when they have a boo boo to rub their nose in it?
No,
too? Or
he
did I hear that?
doesn't. No, it's just
Trying
for
to give my
protection
kids
of
some
the
exercise.
Yeah, he's just trying to protect
Like we
the
couldn't go to the
child.
playground because it was so hot. I mean, everything would burn your skin. You couldn't slide on the slide.
And he couldn't let, with all those mall walking people with their sweatsuits on, he couldn't let his kid loose around them.
No.
Next blitzer, you're
We
up.
wandered off.
Bucky, dude, it's Mike McCarthy. Hey, all those food combinations end up in the same place anyways.
Me belly.
Big
Thank
Mac.
you there, Big Mac. Next blitzer, you're up.
This is the other Bev Kearney.
Hey, Bev.
Yeah, I just like white tuna.
Just
Hey,
like
now.
white tuna. Very nice.
Here you go. Somebody said macaroni and ketchup I'm a fan of that.
Oh,
This says pretzels and cream cheese is my combo. That's Sal in New York City. Applesauce on a piece of really fresh white bread. I don't know.
just have some spam, y'all.
Just have some. Hey, don't knock it till you try
That's
it.
right.
Spam in a can. Canned meats. We'll be back. We mentioned Ross Dellinger, Sports Illustrated, in the next hour. Also, we'll find out what Ty's going under the knife for tomorrow. Get a very latest update, and you can wish him well. We'll hit that. It's B&E with you on a busy Tuesday. Final hour of ours on a Tuesday. When on the Horn, we are live and local all day, every day. We'll hand it off to the Light the Tower guys, Craig Way. I'm not sure if Craig will be back from Lawrence, finally back to his own bed maybe at some point, because he's been Morgantown, Manhattan, Lawrence, slipping and falling on the ice, but I think he's back. I believe he's back.
Doing ice capades.
Yeah, I heard Craig tell his story of his bursa sac problem because he fell on his elbow and he had like a swollen bursa sac.
I get him at my fall camp this summer.
Bucky's fall camp in the summer. It's like a stuntman camp, I guess, which is kind of cool. Hey, you guys are pretty weird with your food mixtures.
Yes, you are.
This says, my roommate used to eat milk and spaghetti, peanut butter and bologna sandwich. Don't knock it till you tried it.
That's gross. That's not even right.
My wife makes fun of my peanut butter and maple syrup. I can see that tasting pretty yummy.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good mixture. Peanut butter on hot dogs is a good combo. What? Red grapes and graham crackers.
No.
And spread
that texture is just not right.
Spread a thick layer of mustard on bread and then coat it with sugar. Fried pickles and ketchup. I can see that. Fried pickles because you got the fried on there. I told you when I went on the Pluckers trip with all the Pluckers folks, I met the guy that supplies all their pickles. He's out of Waco, Texas.
Pickle man?
Yeah, he's the pickle guy.
I'm more of a pickle chip guy, though. Ooh. I wish Pluckers would convert from the Spears.
I'm trying to think who has the pickle chips that
Hooters.
That are good. Hooters? Well, that's not where I...
Good chili also at Hooters. Don't forget the chili.
Fried pickles are good. Yeah, they do the Spears at Pluckers. And that dude supplies the pickles to all the Pluckers, all over, for the fried pickles. And nice fella. Ty, now you're going to be out the next couple days. You're the Iron Horse up here. You're like the Cal Ripken. You're putting in 60-some hours a week, our show and everything else that goes on up here. But you're going to be taking a couple days off because you have a procedure to what?
My nasal cavities and my nose. I'm getting some stuff. Some deviated septum, collapsed cartilage, some closed nasal cavities. Getting that all cleared up.
Cocaine is a terrible drug, man. Whatever you're doing there, whatever you're sticking in
you
that
Westlake
nose.
guys.
Man, you guys.
Fake UT
that,
students. Fake UT students on West Campus.
Good Lord.
I've never really been able to breathe out of my nose my whole life. So hopefully
you're a mouth breather.
Your mouth.
Yeah, kind of.
Aggie?
Yeah, me and Chad have some similarities there. But I'm hoping I don't come back and sound like Mickey Mouse or something like that. Because
you could. You will have a different sounding voice. That's true. Kind of like I do today with my raspy voice. Can we get some breaking news real quick, Ty? Then we'll get more on your procedure. Because there is breaking news, and it's kind of a flex segment, but big deal. How about Texas? Warren Roberson, we told you about him from Red Oak, Texas.
Yes. Is that the DB?
The DB, hard-hitting safety out of Red Oak, had been committed verbally to TCU, but this morning at his high school, when they finally reopened the high school from all the ice of last week, had a commitment ceremony and committed to Texas.
Awesome.
Texas. And I saw some pictures. Our buddy Jeff Howe just texted us that from 24/7 Sports. He showed up to the high school in a TCU jacket. How about that? And then committed to Texas. I'm sure Sonny Dykes is like, oh, cool.
He got some gear, huh?
Yeah. Well, it's cold out, so he started up in his TCU jacket. I guess he took it off and had a burnt orange shirt. I don't know. But 4-star safety Warren Roberson has flipped his commitment from TCU to Texas. He'll become the final member, at least at this point, the final member of this recruiting class for the Longhorns, which is ranked in the top 3 in the country.
Very nice.
Last time we talked to Jerry Hamilton, and he said he's a hard-hitting safety but has wide receiver ball skills.
That sounded great.
Yeah, man. So aggressive safety. Longhorns are looking for another DB in this class, and there you go. Commitment flip. TCU, no, Texas. This says, are you talking about the pickle salsa? No? Mm-mm. It says red grapes, white cheese, Dijon, mustard on a cracker. Everybody keeps saying don't knock it till you tried it. Get the patty melt at Hooters.
Me and my dad used to go every Sunday for lunch.
Oh, man. To Hooters?
All growing up, yep.
And what would
the whole family.
What would you get?
Fried pickles, either Daytona-style wings.
What was your Hooters of choice?
Oh, the Hooters of choice. It was the one that
Barton Springs.
That's now a giant high-rise.
Yeah, Barton Springs.
Oh, Barton Springs,
freaks me out every time I pass by it now.
Yeah.
I always wondered how Hooters maintained that property. It had to be worth so much money.
Well,
that big parking lot down there.
Oh, yeah.
Well, guess what? My good buddy Danny Brinson, he owns Aussies, which is still there. Aussies
still volleyballing down there?
Oh yeah, I talked to Danny this weekend. We watched the first half of the Texas game there. He's actually looking to do some QC kinetics. He's got a knee. He wants to get back on the volleyball court, but he's got a knee problem.
Oh, got to get out there.
So, he was asking us about that, and we watched the Texas game, and yeah, Aussies is still cranking right there. Gosh, we used to take our son is 24 years old. He'll be 25 this summer. When he was an infant or toddler, we used to take him to Aussies because way back in the day they had like dollar beers and dollar margaritas and watch sports, and it wasn't far from the house. And Griffin would eat French fries with his no teeth. But yeah, they've been there all that time, still cranking at Aussies with Danny and the crew there. Hey, so can we get so Ty, by the way, are you nervous?
Yes,
eager? What are we? You're going under the knife here. You're going to go.
That's a day surgery, right?
Yeah, I'm going in at like 7, and I won't be out till the middle of the day, I think. I don't even know how they do it though. I'm a little worried.
They haven't
Well, they got
explained
to
it
break
to
your nose first. So that little rubber mallet that you see,
Is that actually what they do?
Oh, they're going to break your nose with a mallet?
I hope not. You're scaring me.
You're scaring me now.
Well, you won't feel it. You're going to be out.
I'll feel it when I wake up.
Oh, you're going to feel a lot of things when you wake up. Your nose won't be the same. You're going to be sore, right? You know that, right? You don't think they're going to be digging up in there? They're not doing the normal dig that you do on a daily basis. They're going up in there. I mean, up in there.
Deviated septum.
Collapsed cartilage.
Oh, telling me that's going to be sore. There's going to be some soreness in there.
I kind of imagine
When
it's
that
not
guy
going to feel very good.
When that guy gets that boot up in there, and they're going to use gloves though. Okay, they will have gloves on. The surgeons will use gloves.
You think they'll shave my face?
No,
like my mustache.
They may. That's interesting. They may ask you to do that. Oh, they haven't asked you.
I don't think y'all have seen me without a beard yet.
Have you got the details on what you can do?
This
and you
guy on
can't
the
do?
text line, we always get people on the text line that let us know things. This is, I had that procedure. Takes 20 minutes. You'll be fine.
All that done?
That's what he said.
Okay.
Well, this guy's trying to stay in a hospital for a week, though. Come on now.
It just says, Ty, I had a friend 2 years ago who went through the same surgery. First thing they do before they start the surgery is break your nose.
I did say that, didn't I?
Yeah, they got to break it first to rebuild it.
Yeah.
And you got to break the beak.
You're not gonna. Yeah, it's gonna be sore when you come out. Everything is.
I haven't had a real surgery since I was like 10 years old.
My older brother, who might be listening right now, he sent me a text earlier about Jalen Hurts because he lives up there in outside Philadelphia. When he was a kid, before he was 6 years old, he'd broken his nose like 3 times. He rode his little baby cruiser right off the porch and
right down the steps.
Oh
huh?
yeah. So we have a picture of him when he's a kid. He's in the Akron Children's Hospital, and he's got a beak on his nose because they built his nose, and they put like wings on him. So they put these splints on his arm so he wouldn't touch it to prevent it from. He looked like a bird. But
you got to be careful of your dogs jumping on your face.
It says, Ty, that first sneeze is going to suck.
Oh,
man.
These texts aren't making me feel any better.
There will be blood.
This says, Ty, they don't do that anymore. Use Dr. Slaughter. They won't break your nose. Yeah, I think they just go up there. What does it call that? Balloon sinuplasty? Go up there and stick balloons
like that,
in your nose.
You know that balloon they just shot down over South
the
Carolina?
Chinese spy balloon?
Yeah, about that. That thing goes up in there and they...
Boom.
Ba-boom.
I love this. Hey, real quick, let's get a flex update. Remember, bottom of the hour, it'll be Ross Dellinger from Sports Illustrated. He's the man in the know on these negotiations between Fox TV, the Big 12, Texas, and Oklahoma, trying to get to the SEC. What are the odds it happens in time to be in the SEC by 2024 for the Longhorns and Sooners? We'll let Ross explain that to you, walk you through the process. Right now, though, let's hit the flex.
Flex ATX for the best high school sports coverage. Listen to the Horn and go to FLXATX.com. Flex 30 is brought to you by Brain Vault. Brain Vault is a revolutionary and patented mouthguard that has been proven to help reduce the risk of concussion. Visit brainvault.com and join the movement.
Sounds like a lot of people have had this procedure time.
Yeah, and you'll be after the black eyes, you'll be fine. If you can get past that part, because you have...
Come on, Ike Turner. There are going to be black eyes.
You're going to get a black eye from that.
Not going to be any black eyes.
Really?
You're going to be fine. Don't scare the young man. Now, it will be pretty funny if he comes out with like a shaved beard and he's got a clear... I've never seen you without a beard tag.
It's not a pretty sight. There's a reason why I keep the beard.
A reason why I keep the beard. All right, quick flex update. FLXATX.com is where you find all of your flex info. The high school basketball season continues to crank. We told you about Stony Point, number 1 in our power poll again this year. And listen, go over there today. We told you about it, and we talked last week to Anthony Williams, Coach Anthony Williams. He had his Texas football showcase. There's a full video up there, pretty cool, of the recap of the unsigned seniors and some underclassmen. Ton of them out there at Del Valley this past weekend. So go watch that video. Pretty cool stuff at flxatx.com. And as we've talked about this morning, Buck, as we talk about flex, pretty cool that 2 Texas high school quarterbacks will play for a Super Bowl championship.
That's cool.
It was really cool a few years ago when you had Nick Foles and Drew Brees was in the Super Bowl from Westlake. We've seen that. But, man, 2 head-to-head, one from Channelview High School and Jalen Hurts, and one from White House High School outside of Tyler with Patrick Mahomes. And, when we started doing the flex thing real heavy, Buck, back in the spring and had our flex watch list, that's what we said. Look, I mean, this is the natural evolution. We're following these kids now in high school because they're going to be the college stars and the pro players
future,
beyond.
Yeah.
I mean, we're seeing this. We'll see the NFL draft coming up, and guys like, who was it? One of our producers got run over by Roshan Johnson in high school back in the day.
Oh,
yeah, Roshan Johnson. Who's our producer? Oh, it's Corey Guidry. I heard Corey Guidry on with Craig last week during the ice storm, or with Jeff, and he's down from the Golden Triangle area. Went to Nederland High School.
And he took a hit, did he?
Oh, yeah. He said Roshan Johnson, ran all over him. So, yeah, we love following these guys and these young players, these young student athletes, and they're on their way to big things. Excuse me. 4-star safety Warren Roberson, as we just told you, has flipped his commitment from TCU to Texas. That's
a good get for Texas.
And what a recruiting class that this is, man. Thank you there, Mr. Jack, for the flex segment. And, man, the recruiting class, Buck, is really strong. I mean, you used to say about Mac Brown when he was building this thing that eventually the talent will outweigh the coaching.
Yes.
What if the talent can match the coaching? What if Sark can figure out these late-game struggles that he's got? And this.
What if the coaching can match the talent, as you say? Is
yes.
that it? Yes.
Because that's what Nick Saban has done, right?
Yes.
For the most part. And now we're seeing Georgia do it with Kirby Smart. When you recruit these 5-stars and these great recruiting classes, and your talent acquisition is to that level, and then it matches the development and the coaching, that's when you get a powerhouse. And that's when, you become, one of these power programs. Is Texas getting to there? And, Sark still has to prove the coaching side of things, because we know overall his record is a little above 500 as a head coach. And even at Texas, he's had a 5-7 season and an 8-5 season, hasn't won a bowl game
winning
yet.
Those games.
And this begins the no excuse season for the Longhorns. There's always going to be potholes and issues and situations you have to deal with. But, this with 25 total commitments now, because Warren Roberson makes the 25th for this high school recruiting class, which is ranked 3rd in the country, on top of the transfer portal, folks, Buck. And
then after spring, some other moves.
Yeah. Think about the transfer portal guys they brought in. Starters. Starting punter.
Mm-hmm.
Jalen Catalon, very likely, if he can stay healthy, will be the starting safety. And pushing for that spot. Also, the kid from Wake Forest comes in, already getting rave reviews and winter workouts, is one of their most athletic and fastest players. He can start at corner, very deep secondary right now. And, they're bringing in quality players. And obviously, to get the commitment from A.D. Mitchell from Georgia, this was a pretty good offense last year. A.D. Mitchell might walk in here and be the best receiver.
Well, the good thing is they're bringing in players. It's not for depth purposes. It's for starting purposes now.
Yeah.
They believe these guys they're not just, position players that become number 3s and 2s and whatever. These are guys that can start for you.
And be impact players.
That's right.
A.D. Mitchell, and that's a big-time player. And he was playing in an offense that was really tight end-based and run-based in Georgia. Here it's going to be more of a throwing – Sark's still going to run the ball, but, it's fair to say last year the best 2 players were your running backs. This year, your best weapons are probably going to be at receiver and at tight end. And and you have to utilize those guys. But, man, that's 25 new high school players plus the portal. Since Sark has gotten here, they flipped this roster over with 85 scholarships. I would say what now? 70 players?
I was going to say,
his own?
About 70% of this team is
80% is now his. And this coaching staff has stayed relatively intact. Hasn't been a lot of change there. There have been some minor changes after year one, and then additions. Gary Patterson still doing his thing. Now that we know the schedule, Buck, and we know who they play and when they play, this season is
the addition of a new wide receiver coach is big, I believe.
Yeah. I was out that week when they hired Chris Jackson officially, and we talked about he was going to be the leading candidate. What were your thoughts on getting the guy from the Jacksonville Jaguars?
I just thought it was fantastic. I mean, here's a guy that's helped a couple guys who are, they did pretty well. I mean, he helped Zay Jones out an awful lot, I believe So I think this is what you need. You need a no-nonsense guy to really come in here, and if you're not performing, somebody else will. Because I think now you're, like you said, you got the talent now. Now it's not, well, this is all we have. I think you have the talent enough players that will put pressure on guys that if you're not performing, they won't be there.
Yeah, it's just the competition level,
right?
With the workouts and the practices. And as we said, you bring your entire offensive line back, but there's no guarantee any of those guys are going to start except for the left tackle.
That's right.
Kelvin Banks will be your left tackle. Everything else, those guys could get beat out by a better player who's had a great offseason. I think that's I mentioned Jalen Catalon comes in, maybe starts at safety, but he's got to earn that spot.
That's true.
You got guys back there that have played some football. I mean, that's the exciting part of this team. And I'll say this, for the defensive side, Buck, if two guys of this recruiting class can really stand out, if you're picking these two and saying, well, in year one it was Xavier Worthy as a freshman who just blew up.
Yep.
Last year was Kelvin Banks. If there's one guy, maybe two, that could really separate this defense from good to the next level, would be Anthony Hill, the 5-star kid out of Denton, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a 6.1 rating on Rivals. I mean, he's a 5-star player. Can he walk in and play next to Jalen Ford and bring another impact player at that position? And then from right here in Austin, Buck, Colton Vasek. Colton Vasek has to put some work.
If you can get Alfred Collins and Colton Vasek together, to really get going.
I mean, they led the nation in pressure rate last year. I mean, they put pressure on quarterbacks, but they didn't have a finisher. They didn't have anybody that could get the quarterback to the ground on a consistent basis. Who becomes that guy? Is it one of the guys that we've already seen that's coming, Jamon Tapp or Justice Finkley or one of these kind of guys? Or does a guy like Colton Vasek walk in here and on a situational basis, on obvious passing situations, can he become that guy that comes off the edge? And you also could add his teammate at Westlake, who played last year here. What was his name, for crying out loud? He got some playing time. He also could be that kind of quick twitch guy, because I feel like with Bo Davis up front, Buck, they're still going to get that push. Tavondre Sweat and Byron Murphy and those kind of guys getting the push. Can they get someone off the edge that can become that game wrecker? That's the next step for this defense. Heck, and maybe it's one of these. Maybe it's Anthony Hill who becomes a tremendous attack player that can become part of that. And excited for what that defense can be.
Yeah, he seeks out the ball pretty well.
He does. He's a downhill linebacker who's already got the size. I mean, he's 6'2" and 230. I mean, he's going to walk in here. He'll get in the weight room, obviously, and add some muscle to him. But he's got those great instincts on top of just those really, really rare physical gifts that he comes in with. So,
and does Alfred Collins now going into his senior year? Does he wake? Does the light really go on for him?
Yeah. I know there's
it's
a lot
about your money now.
I know Texas fans hope so, and the Texas coaches, and I think there's a lot of NFL scouts who would like to see
Absolutely.
that. And that's, there is evidence of that. I mean, I felt like Keandre Coburn took his game to a whole different level last year. I mean, there were guys that they just showed
Ethan Burke is the kid you were thinking of.
Ethan Burke from Westlake, the former lacrosse player, big tall kid. They just need an X factor player on that defense, and maybe it's Anthony Hill, maybe it's Vasek. Having seen Vasek in person, and he's got that kind of bend, that kind of explosiveness off the line of scrimmage. Now, these are against high school players. You got to be able to do it against college, high-end college players. But he seems to have that, and the long arms, the ability to get the corner and get the edge and get quarterbacks to the ground and be an impact player. We will follow that. Obviously, exciting offseason for the Longhorns. The final piece is in. And if you're just tuning in, that's Warren Roberson, the Red Oak safety. Flipped from TCU to Texas this morning at his official signing ceremony up there at Red Oak High School in the Metroplex. We come back, Buck. It's Ross Dellinger. Get your questions ready. We're going to be asking him about his in-depth piece that he wrote behind the scenes with Texas and Oklahoma's potential move to the SEC. When will it happen? When will Fox allow it to happen? What will it take for Fox to let Texas and Oklahoma go by 2024? We'll ask him all those questions next. B&E on this Tuesday morning. Rainy Tuesday, going to rain through the lunch hour, and then looks like all evening and all night. Good chance for rain in the ATX. Somebody asked us on the text line, how did UT miss out on Jalen Hurts and Patrick Mahomes, especially considering our history with mobile quarterbacks? You know, Mahomes was a Tech kid and, of course, played baseball. The Hurts story is a little more intriguing in that he camped at Texas with Charlie Strong and wanted to come to Texas. He no denial there. He wanted to play at Texas. But you know who Texas offered their scholarship to was Shane Buechele, who was more of a throwing quarterback at the time, obviously, and came in and started at Texas for a couple of years. And ironically, they're both in the Super Bowl because Shane Buechele is listed as the third-string quarterback for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yep.
So both will be there. Pretty cool. But yeah, what could have been? We got a lot of those here at Texas with the quarterbacks over the past, and both Texas high school quarterbacks playing in this game on Sunday. Eager to talk to our next guest and very excited to bring him to the airwaves. I tweeted this story out, read it last week when it dropped. It is all about the Longhorns and the Sooners' pursuit to get out of the Big 12 in time for 2024. It's written by Ross Dellinger. The headline of the story is the Big 12 is ready for Texas and Oklahoma to leave, so why is it taking so long? You can read it at sportsillustrated.com, si.com. He is Ross Dellinger on the Vaqueros hotline. Ross, good morning.
Morning. How are y'all?
Doing fantastic, Ross, and yourself?
Doing good.
Appreciate you doing this too. And man, it's a long article. It's in depth to say the least, and folks should read it as I've said. But do you have, what when you read that headline, why is it taking so long? Is there a short answer to that?
Well, it's fairly complicated of a situation, but I think I could boil it down. And I think it boils down to the TV networks. Part of any exit agreement for Texas and Oklahoma to leave a year early in 2024 instead of 2025, there are a lot of parties involved. There's the Big 12 legacy schools. There's the Big 12 office. There's the SEC office. There's obviously Texas and Oklahoma, and there are the TV partners, Fox and ESPN. And I think you can boil it down to an issue with Fox and ESPN. I think all other parties are pretty much in agreement of an early divorce, and Fox and ESPN just need to find a way to come to some kind of compromise. Basically, what's happening is if Texas and Oklahoma leave a year early, that means Fox will be missing out on the Longhorns and the Sooners during the 2024 season. They will not have rights to any of their games, and ESPN, which has exclusive rights to the SEC, will have all the broadcasting rights to Texas and Oklahoma. So Fox wants something in exchange, obviously, and whether that's inventory or a big old check, they want something from ESPN or from Texas and Oklahoma to make that happen, and that seems to be the sticking point.
Boy, and that sounds like a big old check the way you say that. Big old check, huh?
Yes. I mean, you got to think, and these are just estimates, but Fox, Fox obviously and ESPN both have co-rights to the Big 12 deal in 2024. And so they would pick Texas and Oklahoma maybe 3 or 4 times each.
Right.
So if you split the difference and say that they get 7 to 8 games or so a year, well, you got to put a price tag on those games. It's kind of hard to do that, but it's multiple millions of dollars. The Big 12's TV deal in 2024 is valued at around $220 million. You would take that and you divide by how many conference games is it? 90 or somewhere around there. You would divide to see if you could come up with some kind of figure per game, but that figure is going to be inflated because you're talking about 2 big brands in Texas and Oklahoma. But it's several $1 million, and that's why I think that one of the compromises was going to be inventory, where Texas and Oklahoma or ESPN would give Fox more inventory in the way of maybe, say, for instance, Texas's game against Michigan in 2024 that's in Austin. Maybe Fox gets that game instead of ESPN, who has the first pick and would probably or who has exclusive rights if they move early. So it's things like that. You would trade. You guys remember the Joe Buck game trade last year? I think it was last year when Joe Buck went from did he go from Fox
to ESPN,
ESPN, right? Yeah, and then ESPN had to trade a game and gave Fox the Penn State Purdue game, or it was some Big Ten game. Basically, Fox got in exchange for Joe Buck. So it's some kind of similar to that. There needs to be an exchange or a trade of some sort. Fox needs inventory, or it needs a lot of money.
Yeah, to be made whole. Because as we talked about, I mean, Texas and Oklahoma are consistently the only schools, whether it's they're playing each other or anyone else in the conference, that brings those TV eyeballs, over 1 million people typically, which obviously then they sell to advertisers, and that's how they make their money and pay for these big contracts. You have to make them whole on that. I think that's an interesting one. It was deep in your article about that Michigan game, because Michigan does have a home with Texas starting in 2024. Of course, the Big Ten is going to be all Fox starting in 2024 as well, which would be an interesting compromise for sure, and we're looking forward to that game. Ross Dellinger is with us, Sports Illustrated, must-read article for all Longhorn fans and Big 12 fans to understand the inner workings of this. I was intrigued that really, as you said, all other parties are pretty much on board with this. Is it fair to say that the Big 12, the college football landscape, is ready for 2024 to really start the new Big 12 with 12 teams, the new 12-team playoff? SEC is all on ESPN. Fox is all Big Ten. USC and UCLA are moving into the Big Ten. That all aligns with 2024, which is why it feels like that something can be worked out to make this happen.
Yeah, and that's part of this, too. I don't think I wrote in that story, but it's been written about before, where everything kind of aligns that year, and you just went through it all, where there's the conference realignment is all settled that year and stabilized, and we'll have the new college football 12-team playoff. So in another part of that, ESPN's exclusive TV deal with the SEC starts that year. You got some new other TV deals in the Big Ten, as you mentioned, that starts that year. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that align with that year, and I think that there's a thought that let's just make this happen. And I think Big 12 schools want Texas and Oklahoma out. I think the Big 12 conference office wants Texas and Oklahoma out, and I know for sure Texas and Oklahoma want out early, and I think the SEC would like them to join early. I think ESPN, seeing as they hold exclusive rights to the SEC starting that year, broadcasting rights, that they would want them to start that year. The one whole hang-up kind of is does Fox really want that? Because, again, they lose the inventory. I think they'd be okay with wanting that if they get a whopper of a check or some big-time matchup games. Like you mentioned, maybe there's that Michigan-Ohio State series that Texas has, future non-conference series, that is involved in this. There was certainly trade talks about that. And then on Oklahoma's side, I think there's been discussions of playing Big 12 legacy schools at their place over the next few years, scheduling some future matchups that Fox could get.
Yeah, we want this divorce. We got to have this divorce, but as long as the longer you stay in this divorce, we still make money. So I know you want out. I know the Big 12 wants you out. I know the SEC wants you in, but as long as you're still playing football games in the Big 12, even with the new teams that arrive, you're still our money makers. So if you don't pay us a check, this divorce, it'll just be this relationship will be bad, but we still will make cash.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's making money, right? I mean, and I think folks don't understand. I tried to explain in that story what the grant of rights is and why Texas and Oklahoma are bound to this grant of rights. They signed this grant of rights, 10, 12 years ago or something. Mm-hmm. And it is a binding contract to stay in the Big 12 and is connected to the Big 12 TV deal. And, to get out is going to be a costly penalty, because you're not only do ESPN and Fox have to come to some kind of terms on inventory or money or a trade of some sort, but the Big 12 in Texas and Oklahoma have to come to some kind of financial exit fee, and there will be an exit fee, and it'll be multiple $1 million. Depends on who you talk to. It depends on what kind of number you get. Some might say 30 or 40 million. Some will say 60 to 70 million, maybe each. When you do the math, you come up with a number that's probably over 100 million. But I think that is a number that, because all parties have agreed and want to split early, that they've negotiated down, or they will negotiate down. So there'll be two things going on here. There's going to be a check written from each Texas and Oklahoma to the Big 12 to make the Big 12 schools whole themselves. And there's going to be some kind of trade or exchange between ESPN and Fox to make Fox whole.
Exactly right. They're the parties. And as you the final line of your story says, one athletic director quoted, "We sold our souls to the devil, but we love our paycheck." Of course, TV rules, and the granting of rights is for 99 years, so it's going to have to be paid. Ross Dellinger is with us. Is there any way to put a percentage in your mind of how likely this gets done? I know there's been some reporting, it was late last week, that it's dead in the water, it's not going to happen. And I think there's some posturing and negotiating going on there. But what's your gut tell you on the percentage that this thing gets done by 2024 or at some point here in the near future?
Yeah, I think the reports last week were all part of this process. And you mentioned it there. There's a little posturing there probably going on. I was a little surprised at how strongly angled those reports were, because I do believe, from everybody I've talked to, that this is this is on the way to happening. It has been on the way to happening. Now, you have snags, right? I mean, every negotiation has snags where everybody picks up, walks out of the room, you take a breather for a couple of days, and you come back. And I think that's what's kind of unfolded here. Percentage-wise, I think it's relatively high. I mean, I was on a podcast yesterday. I asked the same question. I said, 75 to 80% of the time, in my mind, it's 75 to 80% chance that they leave early and start in 2024. I think that in any negotiations, you have hitches and snags, and I think that did happen and has happened over the course of the last week or two. But I think everybody, there's so much pressure to get this done from the leagues and the schools and even the national landscape, that I think it does get done.
Something that needs to get done. Hey, Ross Dellinger, Sports Illustrated. Follow him on Twitter and all of his work at Sports Illustrated. He's a senior writer there, does an incredible job in keeping folks in the loop. Let me ask you this while we got you. Let's say it is, as you said, 80%, and it's going to get done, and then 2024 it all lines up, and Texas is in the SEC, Oklahoma's in the SEC, and the Big 12 moves forward. Do you still feel like there's a chance the Big 12 could then add from there with whatever's left of the Pac-12? Do you think that's in the future, Big 10 and Big 12 kind of poaching the remainder of the Pac-10, or what's your thought on that?
Yeah, I know that was we saw a lot of reports about that in July and August and September. I think that they were a little premature. We now sit here 5 months later, and it doesn't seem like that's as much of a possibility. And honestly, I think Kevin Warren leaving the Big Ten is actually going to stabilize things a little bit conference-wise as far as conference realignment. He was one of the ones pushing so hard to continue to expand, and you kind of thought that maybe if he took some Pac-12 North schools, then that would kind of crater the Pac-12, and the Pac-12 South would go and need a home in say the Big 12. So that with him leaving, a lot of people believe it's going to be more stability. Now that said, the Pac-12 is in the middle of a media rights negotiation, and if that deal isn't ideal, or isn't close to the deal that Brett Yormark and the Big 12 agreed to with ESPN and Fox starting in, I think, 2025, that new TV deal, if it's not close, if the Pac-12's numbers aren't close, maybe you do see some schools think seriously about jumping. But I think the deals are going to be close enough. But you never know. Certainly, whatever the Pac-12 schools sign on is not going to be long term. Like, it's not going to be some 10-year deal, like, for instance, this Big 12 grant of rights and all that. Like, it's not going to be that. And so I think what you're going to have is a short-term deal, which brings stability for maybe 3 or 4 years to the Pac-12, but not long-term.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like, Ross, that the Pac-12 will be able to survive not going somewhere else, whether it's the Big Ten, or if the Big Ten wants them to join, or the Big 12. I mean, you got those Arizona schools ought to be jumping to run to the Big 12 as soon as possible. But as soon as possible is pretty doggone soon in your mind. Like you said, 3 or 4 years. You don't see these 12-year deals coming out of the Pac-12 and what they're going to get.
No way. The conference is in a situation where, I don't think many programs in that league,
right,
aside from Oregon State, maybe in Washington State, will sign anything long term.
That would be the read, because, of course, USC and UCLA are jumping, and could there be more with the Big 12 relooked and remade? Ross, thanks so much. Appreciate the work, and we'll keep tabs and let us know, and we'll be following and have you back when something does develop.
Ross, thank you very much.
All right, guys. Thanks.
Ross Dellinger, Sports Illustrated. It is interesting as of yesterday afternoon, this was weird, that both Texas and Oklahoma, neither of them had the 2023 schedule on their website. Neither. Which led a lot of people like, what? Why? Every other school in the Big 12 has posted the website posted the schedule. Texas and Oklahoma had not. And as of this morning, Oklahoma has finally posted the schedule for 2023. Texas still has not. Is that just them being lazy down there at the 40 acres? I don't know. But Texas, if you go to texassports.com and click on football schedule, it still shows the 2022 football schedule, not the 2023 schedule, which has been released by the conference. So, we report, you decide. We'll let you know when it gets there. But Oklahoma's is now up. We appreciate Ross Dellinger. There's the lay of the land. Fox is the reason. And how about that? Would you be okay if, and that may happen, ESPN may say, okay, look, we want Texas and Oklahoma in the SEC quickly and badly, because that's when our rights take over. We'll give you the Texas-Michigan 2024 game, and we'll give you the Texas-Ohio State game on 2025.
Sure.
And you can go sell that and make $1 bazillion, and we'll get, because the SEC at that point would get Texas and Oklahoma for every other game. They would just sell that one to them or give that to them as purchase, and those are going to be, the TV ratings on Texas-Oklahoma, or Texas-Ohio State, Texas-Michigan will be whoppers. So that may be enough for Fox. But then, as he said, Texas and Oklahoma still have to buy their way out of the Big 12.
They still owe them money.
Yeah, they own the schools.
And they're not getting out of that.
But the fact that all parties are saying we're ready to go tells me that they've kind of come to a number. I think everyone is on the same page of what that is. So no one's balking at that. It's really about Fox. And I do think every time they get close, Fox kind of ups the ante a little bit. Oh, okay. Well, we got that. All right. Well, let's go up a little higher.
Just a little bit more. You can do it. You guys can pay that. Come on.
Because you're the final straw now. So Fox is kind of like, oh, okay, we can stir this drink for a little bit. All right, we'll be back. We'll reset the top stories, get you set up for Light the Tower. Appreciate Ross Dellinger. We're coming right back. Wrapping it up on a Tuesday. Appreciate Ross Dellinger. Appreciate everybody today.
Looks like Oklahoma and Texas, you can leave, but you're going to have to pay that child support. That child support's still going to be hanging back there.
Yeah, there was always going to need to be a fix for Fox.
Yes.
And they'll figure it out, I think. I'm with Ross. I think, he says 80% that it still gets done.
Yeah, that $80 million that we heard about earlier, that thing is down. Got to be down now.
Well, we know ESPN wants it to happen, and so does Texas and Oklahoma. So do the rest of the Big 12. There'll be a number. And remember, for the Longhorn Network, ESPN still owes Texas through 2031.
Right.
So there is money there that ESPN can kick in for the buyout. Oklahoma's always been the factor of, do they have the money to do it? If all parties want it to happen, I think it will happen, I think is the fair point. Obviously, Fox could be the stick in the mud and stick by the contract, which they have every right to do. But at the same time, I think they want it to happen too, because that's the year that they begin with USC and UCLA, 12-team playoff. Because, by the way, the bidding for that is going to begin, right? They're going to the bidding rights are going to be out there for that when the expanded Big 12 or 12-team playoff when it comes on in 2024. So who's going to televise those games will become a big factor. Speaking of televised, how about this, Buck? We came in here on Monday and said nobody watched the Pro Bowl. 6.2 million viewers.
Yeah, of course they did.
Last year was 6.7. The flag football game, 6.2. You know who's really struggling right now? The NBA. NBA had a primetime game Saturday night that didn't even get a sixth of what the Pro Bowl flag football game got. Seriously.
Playoffs.
Yeah, I read a story yesterday about the NBA's. A lot of their advertisers are really frustrated because they're not drawing the numbers. No one's tuning into these games. And they're paying for advertising.
And it's after Christmas.
Yeah.
All those games, and they're still not watching.
People aren't paying attention. They're watching flag football games.
Good Lord.
You people love your football. Heck,
Don't we have a new league coming in? Is USFL starting here in the spring?
Yeah, it is. XFL, USFL, I don't know what the dates
is it XFL? What is it? Is it USFL? No, it's XFL.
No, you'll tell me tomorrow, I guess.
No, and I will not be watching.
I will be. We'll be back. I'm gambling on it.
No.
Coming up, Craig Way is back from his meandering trip through West Virginia and Texas and Kansas. He'll have Light the Tower with Jeff Howe and Colonel Cam Parker. That's coming your way. Then it's Chad and Zay through the midday. Harge and Rob with Ball Don't Lie this afternoon. Everybody have a wonderful Tuesday. We'll hear you bright and early, or zero dark early at 6 a.m. tomorrow morning. There it is. Viking Fence, folks. Trusted in Texas since 1972. That's over 50 years now with the team at Viking Fence. It's everything you need in fencing, whether it's a residential fence for your home, whether it's a commercial fence for your business. They building materials, as I always tell you, if you're a do-it-yourselfer and weather's going to turn here in the spring and you want to get out and build that fence yourself, just get your materials at Viking Fence. They'll deliver them right to you. They're the best. I mean, it's their own cedar mill where they mill the western red cedar. Nobody else has that. They control the raw materials, which is what they've invested in over the last 50 years to build you a better fence. It's about controlling that red cedar, milling it in their own mill, staining it with the pre-staining equipment. and it's the highest quality in 3 different grades. It's going to, your fence will last the longest. Why they put the longest warranties on their fences, insured and bonded for your home or business, for materials as well. Custom iron fences, wood privacy fences, whatever you need. Viking has it, an only company in town with all the things we mentioned: the lumber mill, the fabrication facility, the custom iron facility, pre-staining equipment. No one else has all that. That's why they give you the quality of product from start to finish. That also brings you the most value every single time. 837-6411 is their phone number. It's 837-6411. Find them online